All right, guys, we're here. We're live. We're the customary. We're kind of on time. Oh, there's CTS. You got a little preview at them, boys. Guys,
Hey,
we're here. The person we're here with today. I mean, if you guys don't know CTS Cole South, then I don't know if you like have ever read about poker history. He's. I mean, I don't use this term often on here to describe a guest, but this is one of the legends of poker, online poker. Cole South, what's going on, man?
great to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
Cole, see, I mean, this is what we like about you. You even came prepared with the appropriate podcast attire. We recommend all guests wear.
Uniform,
We got the Eat Sleep
yellow.
I love it. That's one of the best tank tops ever created. You know, some podcasts, some dinners, they have black tie. They recommend you wear some nice clothes. Around here on the podcast, we recommend our guests bring themselves a tank top and some muscles to the podcast, man. So thank you.
My only tank top, but it's a good one.
It's not your only tank top. That can't be true.
Yeah, not a big tank top guy, yeah.
Well, I mean, I feel halfway
I can say
honored.
it's pretty liberating. It feels nice.
I know it's cool, especially if you work out. You know, I see over there you got a little shoulder action going on. Your shoulders popping out a bit. So it's tank top makes people that makes you look good sometimes.
Probably more of a Laporte thing. I'll let that be in his ballpark, but rock it occasionally.
Yeah, Lafort is. Actually, I was gonna say you kind of looked like Lafort in a way when you first popped up on my screen. You had like the shoulders are sticking up with the black tank top. I was like, is that Lafort? Did I
I
invite
have
Lafort on
some
here?
fitness advice every few weeks on Skype. He's always very gracious about responding.
Lafort is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like he's the king of. He's still the fitness king. He hasn't been putting out much stuff on his blog and his YouTube page lately, but he's definitely a great source of information.
For sure.
So, all right, guys, we got a lot to talk about here with Cole. Obviously, I was writing down. I do my outline before I do podcasts, and I felt like I could have wrote 500 things. I mean, so I think a couple things we're gonna talk about, guys. We're gonna go back in the day, back in like 2000, like I don't even. When did you start playing online poker, Cole? Like
I
2000.
think my 2+2 registration date is December 2005. So that would have been like right when I, popped on Party Poker and realized there was, a poker forum where you could get strategy from. I went to the public library and like got some 2+2 books and took them home for winter break, I think.
What? You went to the library?
What's that?
You went how old? You went to the public library to learn about poker?
Yeah, it was freshman year of college? No, sophomore year of college. Yeah, 2005.
Jesus, how old are you, man? In 2005, I was like, what was I like? 19 years. Oh my God,
Yeah, I'm 27.
I'm 29. I was like 19 years old then. What was I? I'm trying to think what I was doing then, man. God, 2005. All right, so we're gonna go back to that time, talk a little bit about that. We're gonna talk about obviously, going from Cardrunners to playing the highest stakes online to traveling around the world, to getting married, becoming a professional outdoorsman who takes a lot of photos and puts them on his Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, and you look at them and you're like, man, that looks really fun. And then also we're going to talk about the recent, which was this interesting hand you played a couple days ago. And by a couple days ago, I mean like one day ago, I believe. You played like a very large pot at
Yeah,
25.52.
that was
And
not my brightest moment.
yeah, you made a very speculative play, but there was a person in the hand who made a more speculative play than you. So we're going to talk about that. So, and we are live streaming this, guys, on my YouTube. If you guys want to ask any questions, I think Cole, you have the comments open on your
Yeah,
side,
I'll
right?
stream up on the side so I can see everybody's question stuff. Happy to talk about anything you want to hear about.
Cool. And yeah, so any questions, poppies, comments? They're always welcome in the side. If you say something dumb, I'm itching to give somebody a ban today because I haven't banned somebody in like 2 days. So, it's all right, Cole. I mean, I think I lagged. Let's say there's somebody out there right now who doesn't know much about you. If you were to explain yourself, I guess, I'm not sure how you would do that in a short version, but how would you say, who is Cole South? What would you say about yourself?
Yeah, well, I mean, since it's a poker podcast, on the poker side of things, I've been playing poker for a living since, I guess 2006. Started playing in college at William & Mary in Virginia, and was hugely just in the right place at the right time of the start of online poker, and kind of got in on the ground floor where everyone was so terrible, and so was I, but by being a little bit less terrible and staying a step ahead of of everybody along the way, managed to keep it up and be playing at the highest stakes consistently. Ever since, and these days play mostly ring and heads-up PLO on PokerStars and other sites. CTS 687 is my screen name on PokerStars. Outside of poker, I'm married, have a dog, really enjoy the outdoors, snowboarding, traveling. Gotten really into boxing the past year or two.
Oh,
quite a bit of that.
nice. Are you into any other outdoor sports outside of snowboarding?
A little bit of climbing, rock climbing. I kind of like climbing stuff that I could then snowboard down, so that's kind of my ideal setup. So I do a lot of split boarding, so it's a snowboard that's cut down the middle, and you can pull it apart into two pieces, so you've got two skis, and you pull the bindings off, and so you have it in ski mode. And then on the bottom of the skis, you put what are called skins, so they've got like adhesive on one side that you strap them down. And then the other side that's touching the snow is a bunch of like one-directional hairs. So they glide uphill pretty well, but they catch if you start to slide downhill. So do a lot of backcountry snowboarding with splitboard, where you kind of go in ski mode as far uphill as you can to whatever line you want to try to snowboard down. Then you get to the top, pull the skins off, put them in your pack, slap the board together, put the bindings back around, and snowboard down. So that's kind of like my favorite, outdoor activity, because it combines good endurance and a lot of hard work to get to, maybe you just do one run that day, but then it's the sickest run and you really earned it, and it's just you and maybe a couple buddies out there. It's really, really fun.
So that sounds kind of grueling in a way when you think about it, because like the uphill climb. I mean, it sounds easy, like, oh, we're gonna go uphill, but I'm sure it's not this like, it's not this let's walk up a hill. It's just actually like kind of
It's tough, but I like to enjoy hiking and like snowshoeing, and a lot of people like those things. It's like hiking and snowshoeing, except then you get a really sweet snowboard run on the way down.
It's actually pretty sweet. I imagine you go on this with your wife or any, like, this doesn't seem like a very like.
She's not crazy about the cold. She'll like go skiing at a resort 2 or 3 days a year on sunny 50-degree days for like a half day, and then go sit by the fireplace. That's more of her mode of skiing. How about you? You ski at all?
I've never really never really been in a place. When I was living in Vancouver, I never really went to Whistler, because when my friends were going, I was like grinding Supernova Elite, so I couldn't really. That was like my one opportunity I had to really go, but I never really tried it. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna like break my leg if I do. So it's like, you know what I mean? It's kind of like I'm on the fence. I'm like, I want to do it, but at the same time, I want my leg. I want to play basketball. So it's kind of like.
I went skiing with a couple poker guys in Breckenridge maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and Taylor Cavey was one of them. He's from Chicago, so used to the cold, but has never been skiing. And so he rents a pair of skis. We go to the Bunny Hill, which is like this little magic carpet thing that takes you to this slope that maybe goes down 2 degrees, and he gets down it just fine. He's like, "Yep, I got this. We're good to go." And I'm like, maybe you should like try another couple easy runs, or just get the hang of it. He's like, "No, I got this. This is pretty easy." I'm like, "All right." And Brian Townsend had gotten us all this iPhone app that tracks your speed and like location and stuff. And so we take the lift up to what theoretically is going to be like a long, easy green run. But to get to it, you have to take like this 200-foot blue run that's kind of like an entry that's pretty steep. And he just points it down. I'm right behind him on my snowboard, like going pretty freaking fast. And this is guy's like first time on skis. Gets out onto the run, just like lightning hits a like mogul or something, front flips over his skis. I'm like laughing right behind him until I realize, oh shit, like this isn't good. And I, walk over to him, and he's like, "Yep, broke my arm." And first run of the day, his shoulder's like sticking up like here, has dislocated shoulder, has to get the ski patrol to like hook him up to oxygen and bobsled him up the hill. And his graph on that ski tracks iPhone app is hilarious, because like it goes from 0 to like 40 miles an hour in 20 seconds, crashing to 0, and then being lowered off the hill at 3 miles an hour for like the rest of the day.
Well, I have a nickname for Taylor, which is Crazy Taylor, for a different reason. But this actually plays in well to the nickname Crazy Taylor because that seems like I could see him. He's like, yeah, I got this. Let's do that. No, it's fine. I'm gonna do this, and then you
Yeah.
break your arm minutes later. I wonder if Taylor's been back skiing or snowboarding since then.
I think he has. He and his wife went out to, I think Colorado last year or two, and like took some lessons and did it legit.
He's like, wait a second, maybe I should like ease my way into this. It's like kind of like poker in a way. You like maybe some players just start off, they jump into the high stakes, and then they lose all their money, and now they're like, 3 years later, they say, oh, maybe I should start at 5 cent, 10 cent, and get a Cardrunner subscription, and then I can learn how to play poker that way. You're a, I guess Cardrunners. You were one of the initial coaches. I don't think you did you
Not one
tell
of the initial ones, but pretty close to the beginning. They brought me on board to do no limit hold'em videos, and I think some PLO towards the end. Yeah, it was a good experience. I was pretty young and naive in my poker career, and like anything, you got to make a lot of mistakes along the way to kind of learn what you're doing. So I think there were some aspects of not really thinking what I was doing to my long-term bottom line and stuff. So like right now, I'm not making poker videos, and I probably don't see myself doing that in the future. But yeah, overall, it was a really good experience. It opened a lot of doors, and yeah, met a lot of really cool people doing it too. And, some of whom still count as really good friends. And yeah, it's a good thing for me at the time.
Yeah, I mean, I remember them being very popular. You were one of the first people to really introduce the light three betting, which I mean, this goes to show how like older, how much like back in the day this was, because three betting now we're like,
historic, yeah.
yeah, it's like very common thing. But you were like the first video coach to actually like start re-raising in certain spots, right?
Yeah, there were some other guys too. I think one of the things that I did that worked out well for me, like in the party poker and element games, was really trying to take parts of other people's games who were winning a lot and incorporating them into mine. Like Blood, Sweat, Tears was just kind of the end boss on party poker, and he was three betting everybody like crazy. Even though he wasn't like all that loose, he was very aggressive. And LOLO Tricked You. Those guys really had a strong three bet game where I really tried to break down what they were doing and see how I could use it in my game, and I think that was quite effective.
And then you decided
Something I
to.
still do, to this day, a lot.
What did you say?
That's something I still do, a lot to this day. See kind of what different top players are doing that might be easy to write off initially, but like, this guy's, limping in this spot, or he's, never c-betting in this spot or something, like, donk move, and it's like, wait a minute, he's probably got a reason for, doing something different. And even if I don't agree with it, I kind of want to know what the logic is behind it, because maybe that'll help me realize how he's thinking about other spots. Yeah, it's not just about that one spot.
I think that do you find yourself doing that in real life as well? So because I know, like for instance, I do this all the time. So whenever I say something I used to say all the time was like, I don't understand like why that friend thinks that way or why this person thinks like that. So instead of saying that, I try to put myself in all these guys' position. So like for instance, like a very simple like example is like my mom's really upset about something that I would never get upset about, and I'm like, and some people are like, oh, that's dumb. Why is that person upset? But I try to actually think about it from their perspective. Well, why are they upset? And I feel like that helps me better understand.
Yeah, totally. I mean, everybody's got different backgrounds, reacts to things differently, and yeah, if you try to box everyone else into the unique mindset you have, probably not going to do particularly well getting along with other people.
Yeah, do you ever find yourself doing that when it comes to real life situations, or do you think it's mainly something?
I think poker players in general maybe have a tendency to get a little too analytical on like every little life situation. It's like, man, just chill out, let it come, and enjoy it. And you don't have to GTO sim this 20% outcome and this 30% outcome, and how I'm going to game tree it from there. It's just like, man,
That's really funny. I was chatting with this woman at the gym the other day. She was, I call her California, and I'm not sure because she's from California. It's pretty easy. And she was like, you really like very analytical with things, aren't you? I was like, I guess maybe I am. When you say it, I guess when you point it out to me, yeah.
I love one of the guys, Jack Einartz. response. This concept is called empathy.
Yeah, I don't think I'm very empathetic though, so I don't actually think it's empathy because I know my girl says I'm not very empathetic, so I'm not sure if that's the word I'm looking for here. But are you still dating? Jonathan says, are you still dating the girl you dated in college?
I am married to the last girl I was dating in college. Yes, we went to high school together, so we've known each other for 10, 11 years, something like that.
Oh my God! Wait, one girl, 10 years?
No, we've just been friends for a long time, and then kind of were friends throughout college. And then her senior year of college, I had already left school for poker and was going back to school, which didn't end up happening there at the time. But I lived on campus. Yeah, it was kind of best of all worlds. You're there with no classes. All your friends are seniors, so they're relatively checked out as far as academics. It's an insane amount of fun. And towards the end of her senior year, we started dating seriously. And we got married in November, so we've been married for a few months.
Is she? There's some, Daniela wants to know: is she on the big girl grind? Cole, were you one of the you were originator of the 3-bet? Were you originator of the big girl grind back in the day too?
No.
She's like a short white girl, huh?
Yeah, she's like 5'9", 5'10".
So she's not. You're on the TGG, the tall girl grind. Never mind. All right, okay. 5'9", 5'10".
We're gonna go, or
what's it? So Cole South. This is Cole Southgate. Can you guys imagine? Okay, let's everyone out there right now. Let's put yourselves in Cole South's shoes, right? You've been around poker for years. You're traveling. You're outdoors. You're on the tall girl grind. Doesn't even need a big girl grind. I mean, how do we put ourselves in the position to be Cole South one day? Cole, what kind of decisions do people out there need to make to end up on that path, man? What's one of the biggest pieces of advice you'd give someone out there aspiring to be like you one day?
Yeah, I mean, I work super hard, whether it's at poker or, something like snowboarding or getting fit or on your relationships, whether that's friends, your girlfriend or wife or whatever. Also, I'm a big believer that you can, putting yourself in the right place at the right time is a skill, and to set yourself up to be lucky in a lot of spots where, whether it's business opportunities or going out of your way to meet a bunch of people, not of the mindset of, oh, this person can do this for me, and I really want to meet and network with this person, just, kind of building your network and social circle. And yeah, I think that friends and colleagues in poker have been a big part of my success, both at and away from the poker tables, for sure.
That was kind of like a couple pieces of advice if you look at kind of far, like, so it's kind of like work hard, try to network, make poker friends.
Yeah, and then also like not take it too seriously. Just I mean, while you're working hard, don't like invest 100% of your life in, okay, all I want to do is become WCG's heads-up GTO bot. I'm going to focus completely on this. Like, I don't think it's a coincidence that a lot of the guys who are succeeding in poker right now are pretty well-rounded people. Whereas if you look at poker maybe 10 or 15 years ago and you see the top guys where a lot of people who were not particularly fit, maybe didn't have a ton going on, and the game was a lot less competitive, and they were able to do well. And I think now there's a big aspect of look good, feel good, play good. And yeah, being a well-rounded person in general really helps you at the poker table, I think.
So maybe Zygmun's been worked out.
Not completely at the whim of your poker results where, as a poker pro, you have so little control over your day-to-day results. I think Dong Kim was on, and he was saying that he wins, 54% of days or 56% of days or something. And if you're a tourney pro, you're winning 20% of days. And so if your mindset away from the table is strictly correlated to what just happened to you at the poker table, you're going to be unhappy, 46% or 80% of the time, depending on what you're playing. And it's just not worth it, right?
I guess I would. I guess in theory I would agree with that, but I just know for me personally, I was the exact opposite of that. I was very 100%. I wasn't necessarily take my losing sessions with me away and have it really affect me, but I'd say for a couple of years, my focus was 100% poker. All like I was always thinking, even when I wasn't playing poker, if I was on a date or if I was at the gym or at the pool,
Sure.
I'd always be thinking about poker 100% because I thought I probably wouldn't have been able to, reach like I guess a super high level of success unless I treated it that way. And I guess in theory, I'd like to have it that way. But even now, I'm somewhat convinced that I don't know if I guess this is at the highest level. So if you want to have, I guess, like a really high level of success, if you want to have like a medium level of success, I think that for me personally, something like that would work. But I don't know if I could have like a super. I don't know. I just don't think I could have like the highest level of it.
And I say all this with like balance being a total work in progress for me as well. I mean, it's balancing your life with something as kind of consuming as poker is really difficult. And like, I would be completely full of shit if I was saying that like, when I just get hammered at the poker table, that I, walk away and I'm like, cheerio, let's go, do something super upbeat. But like, you can sort of, put yourself in situations at the poker table, whether that's a stop loss or whatever, or situations outside of the poker table after those sessions, whether that's doing, some sort of post-session routine or getting some exercise or surrounding yourself with people who make you happy to make sure that, negative results at the table don't just make you a grumpy person,
So what about putting like the effects you feel at the table aside? These fucking people keep mentioning the goddamn story. I'm going to talk about the story, guys. I promise you, we're getting to the story. For fuck's sakes, we're going to talk about the story. I promise, boys. Poppies, the story will be talked about. I promise. But so I guess not counting like the way you feel negative, positive from a winning or losing session. Do you feel that back in the day when you were playing a lot of high stakes, that pretty much your mindset was poker all the time? And was it you were always thinking about playing poker and getting in those games? Did you ever go through that stretch of time where that was?
Yeah. And I still do to some extent. That said, I feel like there's always this mental thing saying, oh, this game's never going to be there again. There's like this one guy playing super big. I got to be at my computer, sleeping next to it, waiting for that full tilt sound or whatever. And like I've totally been there. I don't think my quality of play or life or even my results or like bank account have benefited from doing that. So I think, like in the past year or two, I've been playing better poker than I had for sure in the prior years and have probably financially done better with less hours and more balance. I don't know. I don't think that necessarily, sleeping next to your computer waiting for the PokerStars noise leads to more money or more happiness. Certainly not more happiness.
Yeah, I think I would actually really agree with
But I've
you.
totally been there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about it. Like, I haven't really been. That's kind of how I've more dealt with my life the past maybe like 2 years. But I felt like I'm not doing it right in a way. I felt like I'm kind of like not putting 100% effort into poker by trying to
Yeah.
have more balance. But at the same time, I think you have to like factor in. It's not always about the money. There is the quality of life as well, and there's you play better. You probably were playing better during that time period too. So it's actually something I think like really good to think about.
Sure, yeah. I mean, kind of standard work harder, not, or work smarter, not longer or whatever. Work smarter, not harder.
Yeah, I guess talking about this because I know there's a lot of people out there who are, because like when I think about it, I take it for granted really because like, you've been playing high stakes for years now. I think I've been playing for a couple of years now. So it's like when you kind of forget how many people are out there who like this is their dream. Their dream is to be at a CTS type of level for a prolonged period of time. And when they always ask me, how can I get to that level? How can I get up there? And it's always like these things like this. It's like this isn't like a textbook thing you would tell people. It's like have this, change this, alter this, like potentially try this. But something small like that.
Things and also, nothing happens overnight. I think in poker, there's particularly when you're playing like small and mid stakes. If your goal is to be playing 25-50, and it's so easy to just like insta sit with your whole roll in 25-50, it's hard to take that mindset where it's like, okay, I need to have this series of goals. And right now, I've got 5K, and I'm playing 50 cents a dollar with 50 buy-ins or whatever. and my goal is to play 25-50. They don't connect like that. You know, there needs to be like 20 intermediate goals, both bankroll, skill, all that sort of stuff. And that can be really, really difficult to do in poker, particularly if you've had like a little taste. You know, some guys who go on a heater, hit 10-20, go bust, and then those are the guys who have a real tough time then grinding 50 cents a dollar, you know, and turning a 5K stake or a short roll up into something that they can take into games that they're winning in.
Oh yeah, that's probably the number one question I get on like Facebook from people who like or watch the podcast, and they say, I'm playing 50 cent dollar. How do I play 25-50? How do I get there? And I'm like, no, I'm like, honestly, like having that mentality is one of the worst things you could possibly have, I think, in poker, because like as you said, you need to set, like, it's a long time. You don't, it's like not just here. There's so many different things.
Yeah, like when I was starting off playing Limit Hold'em, and then I like won like some tournament on Party Poker for 5K. So I had like, I don't know, maybe 10K to my name, and then I saw like No Limit Hold'em in the lobby, and I never played any No Limit Hold'em. Like, oh, what's this? You know, so I sit in like, you know, a 1-2 game, like start 4 tabling, and just get like torched for 10 buy-ins, like, you know, lose a third of my roll or whatever. I'm just like, what the hell just happened? So then I was like, all right, I need to be, clearly this is where the money is, because there was 10-20 no limit on Party Poker, a lot of games running, guys sitting with, you know, 2K starting stacks and working up and playing a lot of big pots, whereas I think maybe they had 50, 100 limit hold'em. It might have just been 30, 60 at that point. So I was like, all right, 10-20 no limit's where I need to be. What I'm gonna do is like set aside, I think 3K of my roll to play 50 cents a dollar, 30 buy-ins, and anytime I get 30 buy-ins for the next level, I'll move up. Which back then I think was relatively conservative bankroll management. I think it would be viewed as pretty aggressive these days, you know, particularly if you're playing PLO or something. But back in, you know, soft no limit hold'em games, I think that was a pretty good strategy. And so it was like very clear, you know, as long as I had the discipline to stick to these rules, I was never going to go jump in a 10-20 game and like lose my whole roll. It was a very measured process, and it probably took 6 months for me to make it from 51 to 10-20. So, you know, I certainly got super lucky along the way, learned a lot of things, and I was also really analytical about every hand where I got stacked. I would always filter Hold'em Manager after I played, and every hand where I lost like more than 80 bigs, I like put them in a notepad file and like just went over, you know, even if I just got unlucky or got aces all in pre-flop and lost or whatever, you know, just so I'd have like an idea of what I was doing in those big pots, either well or poorly.
So how long in real time? Oh, my like lighting's gonna change in my bedroom now. In real time, how long did it take you to? So you sit down, you lose these buy-ins. How long did it take you to like analyze in real time? Like, oh, I need to adjust my strategy, and I need to actually not. I need to have bankroll management. How long did it take you to learn bankroll management? You
know, I think it was a pretty well talked about concept on 2+2 at that point. Just the fact that, like, you know, win rate, standard deviation, and risk of ruin are all kind of related. And if you're playing a game where you have 10 buy-ins, and very importantly, you don't move down once you start losing, like, you stand a big chance of going broke. Like, I'm a very big proponent of smart shot taking. You know, if there's a real soft game where you can trust yourself to have, you know, a certain percent of your net worth in play, and if it goes wrong, like, you're out of there, you're not mentally or financially taken out of the game, you know, whether that's, say, like, you know, your main game's 5-10 and there's a super soft 25-50 game, the worst thing you could do would be to lose enough money in that 25-50 game where the next day you have to come back and play 1-2, you know? You never want to take yourself out of your main game there. That's huge. Just think about, like, you know, if you lose 2 buy-ins at 25-50, that's going to take you fucking ages at 1-2 to make back. And by then, you're going to win, like, 20 buy-ins back, and you're going to go try to win it back at 25-50 probably. So.
Yeah, man, I made that mistake. I made that mistake before in my lifetime, for sure.
Everybody's been there, you know. It's like, it's all about making mistakes and learning through them. And, you know, I made tons of these sort of mistakes throughout my poker career. And I think each little one has, you know, made me a better player and better professional player. You know, I think that's a big thing. There's a big difference between being a good poker player and a good professional poker player.
Mm.
And I know plenty of guys who are like super strong poker players, but terrible professional poker players. And some guys who are like, all right, poker players and amazing professional poker players just due to their like management and life skills and lack of life leaks and that sort of thing.
That's a great statement right there, because
I'm
that's
sure
so true.
plenty of them as well.
That's a great statement. That's just like such a true, especially with like American people, American players. It's like you probably know all these guys that were like that could have been still playing poker right now. It's just like, they had these slight problems. They were like, they're a great heads-up player, but they at 3-6 they won a lot of money, but sometimes they might have played 25-50 and they might have lost all their money.
Yeah, and I think like when shit hits the fan, something like Black Friday can be a real eye-opener when I'm sure there were a ton of American pros that were making money hand over fist on stars or full tilt or whatever before Black Friday, and particularly as a poker pro, I feel like people are so bad having their income here and their expenses here. It's always like their income's here and their expenses are like as close to it as possible. And then once something like Black Friday happens, what do? You've got huge resume gap, big monthly nut.
So I guess what was your approach to it? Did you start traveling around? Did you start to try to be a live player? Did you go to Vegas that summer and try to play some 5100 PLO and decide?
Never been much for live poker. It's so slow. I'm so spoiled by online. I had one summer, the summer before Black Friday, where I played a ton of live in Bobby's room, and it was kind of fun then because still the full tilt money was flowing around, so there were like real good games on a lot of fronts from people getting money from full tilt, and I enjoyed it for that summer, but it was just so poor from a lifestyle perspective. Living in a casino, playing kind of at the mercy of the other players in the game with your hours. Like once player A sits, it's a mad rush to get those other 8 seats in the game, and then you're forced to chug as many coffees as you can to stay up for 3 days until the game dies.
The live seat scripts there.
Totally. Yeah. Politics is huge in live poker, and I think that's one of the things that it makes it really tough for someone to like go play live poker in Vegas or Macau for a week. Like I don't think I would be able to get into the games. Whereas if you live there and you're constantly greasing the floor, man, and knowing exactly the schedules of the fun players you're looking for, you can put yourself in those spots better. But I don't think I could go to say Vegas or Macau for a week right now and find particularly good action.
Well, you specifically.
There's also a lot of different skills involved in live poker that online players tend to underestimate. Everybody's like, oh, live players are such donks. My fundamentals are so good. Like, I'm just going to outplay this guy all the time. And I think that is a bit naive.
Well, to be fair, I think you only find that the weaker players are going to say something like that. I think a good player realizes that that's not the case. But you find like when you're like a winning $50 player, like a winning 1-2 player, you're like, oh, fuck these live guys. No, hey, I got these live guys. I beat 1-2 online. I'm gonna go crush this 10-20 game for fucking $100,000 in a day if I want to.
Totally, just because you saw like some guy limp or like bet 10% a pot, like it's so easy to take those isolated circumstances and just like write the guy off as like total donk, and like if the guy's playing high stakes live for a living and he's been doing it and winning, like hats off to him, it's a different skill set.
Yeah, man, I just remember actually saying that. Like, man, you're living in San Diego, beating $50 You want to go play 10? Yeah, fuck these guys. Let's go make 10,000 a day. Let's do this, man. Just like super delusional about like your skill, and I guess that's something about poker that tends to be, most people tend to be a little bit delusional about their actual poker ability, which is why there are people that make a lot of money at poker, because it's, I guess, like a common thing, I guess. So.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I've certainly learned the hard way from a lot of mistakes, that if you're going to like try to estimate your poker ability, you'd way rather underestimate it and be winning more in the game than you expect than less. And there's always someone better than you at whatever you're doing, no matter what it is. And if you're someone like a full tilt pro that's like probably pretty good at a lot of games, but you're playing the specialists in every single game where that's all they do and that's all they're working on. It doesn't matter if you're the fifth best 08 player or the fifth best triple draw player. Like, you know, if you're playing the number 1, 2, and 3 guys nonstop, your ego can send you broke pretty quick.
Sounds like one particular player.
I certainly enjoy these power rankings and TC versus Don or Kim battles. Like, as a spectator, they're fucking amazing. But yeah, it's not something that I'm particularly eager to get caught up in.
Sounds like you might be describing one particular former full tilt professional who decided that that was the approach he would take to poker.
No.
Yeah. What did someone in the chat say?
He's doing all right, so.
Jack says, "I'll give Joe $30,000 if he shaves his head." You gotta receive that, Joe.
Top or something. You're growing that out.
You better send me that. You better put that in escrow. I think about it. Yeah, I'm growing my hair on top. I'm trying to get my hair as long as I'm trying to get my hair long, like down to here. But I think I have like 2 years to go, unfortunately.
Okay.
So. Yeah, I'm not. I don't know about that hairstyle of yours. I'm not. That used to be the GTO for me, but I can't. Is that like the snowboarding / married husband hairstyle?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Easy.
Doesn't seem like. Can you spike it up a bit? How long is that thing?
There's something in there.
You got a little. Do you ever put a little gel in there, put a little product in there, something like that?
A little bit.
Nah, I don't know. I don't believe it. Actually, I'm gonna go look at your pictures. I don't believe that you're a hair product kind of guy. Journesh. Hey, Joe, was first time live. What's up, Poppy? Thanks for tuning in. I think you're trolling with this comment, but did anyone tell you that you look like Cristiano Ronaldo? That can't be true. I think you have me confused with somebody else, my friend. Great podcast. Thank you. Okay. I mean, no one's ever told me that, but I don't think I look Portuguese as well. And then the story. All right, so let's talk about this story. Rob says, my friend went up to ask for a picture. Let's go to the beginning. True story, Joe. CTS once gave my friend $10,000 for free to play in the World Series. So fucking cool, it changed his life. Cole, yeah, is this a confirmed story?
It is. It's not a particularly happy ending story, for me at least. It was at a Cardrunners party. This is what? 5 years ago? Nah, probably even more. 6 or 7 years ago. I could find out if I handed Mob the guy's name. But this guy had been attending all the Cardrunners events in Vegas around the main event, had his wife and 2 babies there. He's just the nicest guy. And kind of like his dream was to play the main event, it sounded like. And I'd been staking a ton of people that summer and had ran super hot. And so I was like, hey, this guy seems like, hard worker. I'll put him in on 20% free roll. And he cashes for 34K or something. And then I think I had left Vegas before he cashed in the main event or something, and ended up never getting the money from him.
Whoa, wait, Rob Miller, you better talk to this friend of yours, bro. Wait a sec, this guy.
He's somewhat in touch, and I think he had a series of real lousy life events that happened, but they always do, and certainly a good lesson in, trusting people.
Rob Miller, hold on. Rob Miller says this is his friend. It changed his life. Well, obviously it changed his life. He didn't give CTS the money.
Yeah.
It changed his life.
Life to the tune of 33K or whatever.
It changed his life. He took the money from Cole. Of course it changed his life. He took money that wasn't his. Of course he got a little extra life-changing money. What the? My friend? Who's his friend? So this guy, never going to see them. It's like a Star Trek problem. Never going to see the money again, huh?
Yeah, I've tried to talk to him probably once every 18 months or so, saying, hey, do you have any interest in making this right? I'd be happy to put you on a payment plan. I mean, the last thing I want to do is make this super stressful for you, you or your family, but and he always says yes, and then nothing comes of it. Pretty standard, right?
Rob,
yeah.
What the fuck is that story? That's a terrible story. I wonder if Rob's friend told him about the rest of the story.
Maybe Rob's talking about someone else. He's saying he didn't have kids at the time. The guy's initials that I'm talking about are easy. So I don't know if it's somebody else.
How much money were you making? Jesus Christ, you're just putting random people in the main event? What, Oh my god, you don't even remember. There's so many people.
Relatively organized staking operation that summer. I'm pretty sure it was the same summer. And I had like just ran super hot. I had like pieces of 4 bracelets, I think. And yeah, so just he seemed like a nice guy who had worked super hard. And so I went out on a limb and bit me in the ass.
I think Rob is confirming this is the same person because he said his initials and he said, "Oh wow, then I'm sorry."
Yeah,
So,
he definitely had kids at the time.
mm. Rob, yeah, is this the same person? Eddie, that's him.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's him.
that's him. So I guess a couple people in the chat know this guy. It looks like. Hmm.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
What a great story that was.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks, Rob. Hey, Rob. Thanks for tuning in, Rob. I appreciate that comment. I actually love this because probably none of Eddie's friends knew that he stole. Jonathan says, "Rob, you need to out him until he pays." Okay, it's an idea. So I have a friend that you might know. His name's Vince Willie, aka Vinnie Vici. You know who Vinnie Vici is? I think, right? Okay, so he seems to have a very large problem with the card runners in general. And if you
He's
ever
got a lot of problems, it sounds like. Yep, with various people. But Cardrunners seems to be at the top of his list. Yes.
He's definitely Tartar's at the top of the list. So what exactly are his issues with the card runners thing? Do you know?
You know, I think that maybe they ruined the games for him, that he was entitled to go print money in. And I don't know. Honestly, I'm not sure. I totally get where he's coming from. That like he worked super hard and that maybe the games weren't there because he was a couple years too late and a lot of the easy money was out of there. But poker's about working harder than your opponents and finding the edge that's there at that time. And yeah, if I could hop back in a time machine and go play, PLO 4 years ago or No Limit Hold'em regs 10 years ago, of course we'd all be just killing it. And you kind of got to work with the hand you're dealt. And I don't think Cardrunners is really a suitable target to blame for ruining poker or whatever.
So you think that?
I don't know. What do you think?
I'm not. I mean, I talked to him a bunch. I've known him for a long time. So he gave me a woman before. So I'm indebted to him for. I'm indebted to him at some point in time in my life. I'll have to return that favor and give him a woman back. But so I can't think of what his actual his top his number one concern is. So hopefully in the chat he'll say. But I think it's something about that long lines that he thinks card runners kind of they stopped playing. I think it was that like Taylor, for instance, stopped playing and then put all the information out there so everyone else could get better while he was going to quit poker and cash out from poker. But you kind of stayed playing for a long time. You didn't really do. That's not the approach you took for things. I don't think. You kept playing and made things.
The income I've made from card runners, for example, is like such a small fraction of my overall income through poker or whatever. I guess I don't really see why would he be mad at Taylor for that? Like, because Taylor's making people better at poker? It's like saying that, like, yeah, like I can golf an 80, but those damn, golf pros taught everybody how to be good, so I'm not on the PGA Tour,
Yeah, I mean, I can see where he's coming from, though. I think I'm definitely.
I see where he's coming from a little bit, for sure. But, I think you kind of got to focus on the things that are in your control and on the positive things, and by just, having, from what I can tell, a pretty negative attitude and really, I mean, the second you bring up this guy's name, it's like the first thing, his vendetta against card runners, that like, if that's what you're focusing on, it's going to be hard to get past that and focus on the positive things that are going to help you improve. And, I don't know, that doesn't seem particularly productive to me.
Yeah. Put that negativity away, Vince. Come on, man. Step into Step into the positivity, the world of positivity. Come hang, yeah, Baines, come on, man.
I mean, I do see where he's coming from. Like, it sucks that, there's not just donks sitting there waiting to punt away their money day after day, but I don't really see Taylor Cavey as being the guy who, got rid of him.
Fucking Taylor. Crazy Taylor, man. Crazy Taylor. He, I mean, what do you think about training sites now? What's your opinion? Do you think it's smart for these PLO guys to be making videos still? I mean, I think it's one of the dumbest things possible, but obviously you kind of, you this is what you did back in the day. You were playing at the highest level of No Limit, and you were also teaching people how to play just like you.
Sure. I'm definitely surprised that, say, someone like Jeans would, Yeens, or I don't know how you say it, is like doing run-at-once videos, or Phil Galfon's. I watched a Phil Galfon video yesterday and like picked something up. I was like, oh, I wouldn't typically make that play, but then I made it yesterday. It's like, I think I learned something from Phil here. We're kind of at a weird point in poker where the games at the high levels, like 25, 50 PLO, are tougher than ever, but the skill gap between the top tier and the second tier is also, I'm not going to say larger than ever, but quite large. So in particular, the things that those very top guys are doing, I would imagine they wouldn't want to, make videos about. So I don't know. It's a kind of tough situation. I mean, there are a lot of pros to making videos that aren't just, hey, I'm getting, $2,000 to make this video or whatever. Like, there's definitely, the aspect of being involved with the business and other opportunities that would lead to. Like, say, Cardrunners, led to me getting a deal with Full Tilt and becoming a Full Tilt pro, and led to, a later deal with Full Tilt that, had a, better financial aspect to it, and other things like getting at live games and stuff like that. But it is always surprising when, say, someone like Jeans, who's been, crushing so hard, goes to videos and coaching and stuff. But who knows what his motivations are? And I'm sure he's got thought about it quite a bit, especially since he's got 10 years of poker training to kind of look back on and say, how's this worked out for people?
So looking back for yourself, would you still have made the videos back then that you did, or would you maybe have not? I mean, so as you mentioned, you did mention some pretty cool things that came from it. Plus, I think you probably established like a pretty cool network of friends and people that you're still friends with now. And then you Full Tilt, I guess, a little bit more notoriety as well, which, when you talked about earlier about live games, something like that could have paid off if it was something you would have pursued. I think those were things that could work in your favor if you chose to kind of, use it to your advantage. So looking back, do you still do that? Do you maybe make less videos? Do you maybe troll more? Do you, like maybe not give away as much?
There's not a lot of things that like I would go back in life and change. Even if I'm not like thrilled with how something worked out. Not saying even I'm not like happy with how making videos worked out, but they kind of were a big step to like making me who I am now, and I don't think I'd change that for sure.
Yeah,
you got to make it on the way to kind of learn what works for you and what doesn't. And making videos definitely had some positive and negative things. And overall, I'd say the positives outweigh the negatives there for me, but not the same for everybody. And personal decision.
I'm the same way. I usually don't have much like regret or look back and like, God, I really like wish I didn't do that. So. Yeah, I probably would be the same way about that. So people are asking about the Isildur thing. I've talked about this. I'm friends with Stinger. I talked to him about this, tons of times. I had him on a podcast, talked about him on there. I guess so. You were kind of involved in that whole entire Isildur thing, where I guess for people that don't know, it was Isildur played Stinger, and he was kind of playing a couple different guys, Cardrunners guys, leading up to that.
He played everybody, yeah.
Yeah, and Stinger gave him the beat down, 4.2 mm, bang bang. Stinger's still thanking him right now for living in Fort Lauderdale. He sends checks to Isildur's house every. It's gonna be too mean to I don't want to say that, but yeah, I mean, you go looking back on there.
So the biggest thing I learned from that whole saga was that Full Tilt told us so what happened for anybody who's not familiar with it was then Stinger gave an interview with ESPN. Gary Wise, I think, was the reporter, and said something to the effect that at least Gary thought that we merged our hand histories into one database and then used that to come up with some strategy against Isildur, which absolutely did not happen. I've got my hand histories. I never sent them to Stinger or Brian Townsend, and I never received any of theirs. There's stone cold zero of that. What did happen was Brian Townsend bought some hand histories from PTR. These are, I hesitate to say public hand histories, but they don't have like the mucked hole cards. It's not like these are hand histories from my matches against Isildur or something that I sent them. And I guess Brian had hand histories that he bought from PTR. He then just like had some overall tips for playing against Isildur. It was not anything remotely, I hesitate to say useful. It was just like the guy's like aggressive in this spot and like,
right.
I don't know, it was like just talking to your friends about poker. And he sent like an email with, maybe like 3 points on like, things that he would do when he's playing against Isildur. And like I talk about my opponent's strategies pretty frequently with people I'm playing. This was extremely tame. Nothing remotely what I would consider out of line. But I guess this ESPN reporter, whatever Brian said to him, Brian's tried to get the recorded audio of this interview because he claims that he never said anything like this. And he was just trying to be like a quarterback passing on the, praise to its offensive lineman or whatever. That's that analogy he used. Honestly, the whole thing kind of drives me nuts because then Full Tilt said, okay, you guys aren't allowed to respond to anything on public forums or defend yourselves or anything. And so then there was this whole public narrative created that, oh, these guys, have put their hand histories together and we're team playing Isildur, whatever the hell that means in a heads-up poker match where Isildur is playing guys one-on-one and constantly going around trying to play as many different people as he can. And me and Brian and Hastings play pretty differently in general, too, and were at that time. And so finally, after a few days, I was like, this is driving me nuts reading on the forums that these people are like accusing me of sending my hand histories to someone, which, again, absolutely did not happen. And so finally I hopped on like MVG and was like, hey, ask me anything about this. I don't believe I did anything remotely unethical, and I'm happy to answer any questions. And I did, but it had already been a few days, and I don't think it was particularly effective. And so I still like constantly hear people saying, oh, those Cardrunners guys, cheated Isildur out of something. And that's just total bullshit. Anyways, that's my take on it. If people have any more questions about it, happy to answer them.
Yeah, it sucks.
That's kind of the narrative set in stone.
And that is
so saying you can't talk about this at all. And it's like, dude, it's not like I'm trying to cover something up. I didn't do anything wrong here. Like I just want to like make sure people know the truth.
It really sucks that Full Tilt said you couldn't defend yourselves and like.
Yeah, and also Isildur's account was playing live, or Isildur's account was playing online while Victor Blom was playing in live tournaments. One other very well-known, very reputable pro was asking to buy Isildur hand histories online. Like the whole thing's just a total farce.
Yeah, I guess at that point in time, everybody in poker was so like was so pro Isildur at that
Totally.
point.
Isildur was great for action. It was really fun to watch. Yep. And we kind of see how that turned out for him.
Yeah. And it's kind of, it sucks that even though it's like Brian, like this is what, if I talk to people about Brian or if I ever, mention him to some people, that's one of the first things that people say is they bring up like, oh, like what happened with that whole cheating thing against Isildur? And I'm always like, I've heard the story from Brian like 50 times, so I kind of, he says, pretty much he's like nothing happened, and like, I know Brian extremely well, so I feel like nothing really, like he's not the type of person. He's like, all right, let's break that fucking down. Let's take this guy. Let's get this guy. Like, he's not that really that kind. He's like, he's not that kind of person. So it's like, yeah, it's obviously tilting the hair just being a friend to him, and sounds like you've dealt with it for a long time too, and certainly not something that you probably want people to associate with you.
Yeah, and it's just like type of thing where like that kind of narrative is so set in stone once there's a couple days of like people talking about that. And it's not something that I'm, upset to talk about at all. Like happy to get the truth out there, but it just doesn't seem particularly effective once, you know, so many. Who's that guy? Guy in 2+2 that was all over Isildur. Lucky Jim. You remember that guy, an MVG?
Oh, that's an old school guy, yeah. Shout out to Lucky Jim, he's out there.
Posting on every thread, cheat runners, hand history shares. It's like, dude.
God, you know what? I wish I hope I guess I do have some probably like really like hardcore fans like Isildur had, but you know, I can appreciate the hardcore fans that'll ride or die for the person that they support. So yeah, it's pretty yeah. I guess what was the other thing someone said in the chat? It was actually something I want to talk about. The book. You were like one of the first people to kind of be really associated with like a high priced strategy book, right? Let There Be Range. You and Tree Win Slow Habit did that, right? And that was I think I lagged. That was a revolutionary. Is that the right word I'm looking for? That was a fill in the blank book at the time, right? Let There Be Range.
Yeah, you know, I would chalk that up as definitely one of the mistakes I've made along the way. Something that I would have gone back and changed. Basically, Tree approached me about writing this book because he knew that I had already been thinking about writing one. And I said, yeah, great idea. You know, I played with him a bunch in party poker and no limit games. Super tough opponent. It's like, maybe we can collaborate on this. And I had not at all thought about the high-priced book market. I was thinking we were going to like try to write a book and sell it to 2+2 or something, and like make a little bit of money and do something fun. And then he really took over the brand and marketing side of things, and did some things that just wasn't super comfortable with. And I've tried to have the book taken off of Amazon or whatever, and haven't been successful in getting him to do that. I'm not super happy with how it turned out, but you know, make mistakes along the way. And
yeah, your name was very prevalent in that book marketing strategy. Yeah,
exactly. I don't think I was super happy with aggressive marketing being associated with my brand, like just as a person, you know, and particularly with the things like that he did after that. His later books and sort of like, you know, make $1 million in online poker in 99 days or less, that sort of thing. You know, it's like, ugh, man. Like I don't think it really was at that extent when he and I put out the book. But then on his later projects, his marketing was just super aggro, kind of spammy to me. And I talked to him. It's like, man, like this is not really what I want to be associated with. And you know, I have like no piece of the company or anything. So it was not something I'm like making any money off of, just the book that he and I sold. And so, yeah, I think kind of similar to the full tilt thing, like you really want to make sure that you're in control of your own personal brand and what's being put out there about you. And once you kind of put that in other people's hands, you don't really have anybody but yourself to blame for it. So, good lesson.
So in a way, you advocate kind of the path I've taken with my podcast, is I haven't really been associated with any type of other outside.
Totally, yeah. It's the Joe Ingram podcast. It's not the Joe Ingram podcast brought to you by Lock Poker.
You know what's funny is I've done that very on purpose too, because obviously it's kind of a theme I heard with people that I'm friends with, that it's kind of better to be associated with yourself. You control what's happening. It's on you. It's not, you know what I mean? Like, but looking at your situation, it sounds like you weren't. It sounds like when you first made the arrangement with the first book, you were okay with it, but it was from future. I guess how he marketed his future books.
I think a big part of it was I didn't think it through enough to where when we originally did the book, like I said, up until kind of it was getting ready to be released, I was thinking this was going to be like, $30 book that maybe we try to like get in Barnes & Noble or something.
Really?
Yeah. And then he's like, no, we're going to sell it as like a $2,000 ebook or something.
Wow.
So I didn't even know you could do that. Like, what is? And then I don't know, he seemed to know what he was talking about. And yeah, I don't think I really thought it through well enough. So.
Some people are saying, I'm pretty sure they have it in PDF somewhere. I think we all have it in PDF somewhere, guys. Come on. If you can't find it in PDF somewhere, you're not very good at the internet. Let's just say that how it is. So, I mean, in a way, it was kind of like a good idea on Tree's part, if you think about it, because at the time no one was doing this, and he got you, who's one of like the top names in poker at that time, associated with the book, and then he sold it for $2,000. So I mean, that's pretty like not maybe like the most I don't know if ethical is the right word, but it's not like the most maybe ideal way to handle a situation. But
yeah, I mean, it's a free market thing. Nobody was forcing anybody to buy the book. Clearly, plenty of people have gotten it in PDF format, which by all means, go and do.
I think that book's probably still you can still like learn from that book too.
Probably a few useful things in there, for sure. But I mean, poker evolves so quickly that, yeah, if you're trying to get better at poker, you don't want to go watch, my No Limit Hold'em videos from 2007 or whatever.
Those are probably pretty good, though. I'm sure you could kind of learn a little bit from those books.
Yeah, there were kind of a string of those after, though. Like similar ones, like A.E. Jones' memoirs.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, there was. Well, I guess like something good breeds like imitation for the most part, and people, if they see something has success with a formula, well, then they're gonna kind of try to do that on their own. Which is kind of like how you see No Limit coaches and No Limit coaches, I guess in 2015, they all kind of follow the same, they all have the same generic like strategy for approaching and stuff like that. So it's kind of
yeah, the coaching industry is pretty tough and dodgy one, just because, man, if you're doing well in the games, putting one more player in competition with you when there's just not that many weaker players is such a dicey proposition. If you don't have a percent of their upside, I think it can make sense to say, like MDU, CZ or whatever. If you take like a guy like that who you had in your podcast, who's already like a reasonably winning player, and it's like, all right, this guy's got a lot of work ethic. Maybe I can get him to the next level and have a piece of his upside. Then it can make sense, but I really haven't done any, one-on-one coaching deals for anyone other than like close friends. Yeah.
Oh, so you've never been like a person who coaches people or teaches or anything?
Again, I did a little bit like way back in the start of the Cardrunners days and stuff, but not the past 5 years. No like hourly fee for coaching. I don't think it really makes sense for the coach or the student. It's the type of thing where like if I was coaching, say, a 2-4 PLO reg, that first hour is so valuable to them because there are 10 different things that I can pretty quickly explain to you that like you're probably doing wrong, and I'm not going to charge you $50K for an hour of coaching, but I also don't want to like charge you $1K an hour and lock you into like 20 hours where you're not going to get much out of the next 19, and it's going to be like a waste of time for both of us. Like I would consider doing staking deals where that involved some coaching, but at the end of the day, it's a lot of work, and I think just as long as you're doing well in poker, it probably makes more sense to focus on grinding out the hours.
That's what I say.
People who are, doing those one-on-one coaching deals these days, but who knows? Everybody has different motivations for that sort of thing.
Yeah, I say if you ever see me coaching, I'm broke. So if I'm ever offering coaching, I'm like need money. So I think that goes along the same lines. Is that just if you're going to coach? I mean, I understand how people coach. So I don't know. Actually, let me think more about that statement I just made. I don't understand why really good winning players coach someone who plays like a stake below them, like a 2-4 for it. Like say you take a 2-4 like slight winner break-even player. Well, normally you don't find actually many break-even 2-4 people. You'll see break-even 1-2 players.
Sure.
1-2 is like that limit, especially at Palo and Omaha. Like I wouldn't want to take a break-even 1-2 player who puts in a lot of hours, and like you said, the first hour is just like you can watch his game and point out like maybe 2 or 3 things, like pretty noticeable things he could be doing better. Mm-hmm. And then he turns into a winning 2-4 player who then turns into a winning like 5-10 player. Like that doesn't seem. That makes no sense to me. I don't understand why anyone would want to do that.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a piece of his upside, so next 2 years you're getting a percentage of his winnings, then maybe it does. But It's tough, and it's the type of thing where, especially if you're the guy putting the money up at risk, like I really enjoyed that interview with MDU, and I think what he's done is remarkable, going from 50 cents a dollar, would took like a pretty small stake and ran it up to a 25-50 roll. But like, you can't look at that result and be like, this is how it always turns out, like, and I now have to give this money up to my backer, because like 99% of the time the guy just busts the 2K roll, not taking anything away from the guy. Like, really impressive what he's done, but like, you got to appreciate the risk that the guy with the money's putting up,
Yeah, that was a very unique situation. If he missed that, I had MDU on a podcast. He's a high-stakes PLO player right now. We were basically discussing how he essentially has made over $100,000 plus for his backer, who put up $2,000 initial investment. He was playing 25 cent, 50 cent, and now his argument was like, he still has a free 10% of me playing 25-50, and he doesn't lose. He just gains 10% of my winnings or something like that. He was saying like should he pay that, or should he have to pay that? We're having this like moral dilemma debate sort of thing going
on. And yes, you have to. It's the answer. Should be a great result for both parties. The guy put up no money, right, and now has a lot of it, and so does the guy who actually put up the stake. I mean, it seems like a win-win for everybody involved, and you really have to appreciate that one party took 100% of the risk, and that this is like the lotto ticket scenario where it worked out just absolute top 0.1 percentile of luck and skill. I mean, the guy's a good player, but even if you are a good player, it's really easy to stagnate or bust, a short roll on a stake.
Yeah. It's kind of, so when he explained the situation to me, because I've chatted with him a bunch on like Skype and stuff, and I was always like, yeah, that really sucks having to give the money away. And like, I think about it, I'm like, what would I do in that situation? I'd probably keep giving the money, but wouldn't be happy about it. But at the same time, you have to think about it from that standpoint, like you said. You wouldn't be playing that if...
Yeah. I mean, to even question about like whether you give the money or have to give the money seems completely insane to me. I'm also maybe a little biased because would probably be in the spot of the other guy. I've occasionally like staked a few guys, and they all have busted their roll. So like, I want to make sure, when I get that one guy who plays and runs insanely well and makes a bunch of money for both of us, that it's, the risk isn't taken for granted, and that this should be a situation where they're both super happy and there's no bitterness.
Yeah, that's true. You would be in the position where you're staking the guy who just made $100,000 and doesn't want to pay you. That's probably what happened with that guy, the guy Eddie, who you like gave him $10,000. He cashed for $34K. He's like talking to his friends. Well, I mean, what happens if I don't give this guy the money? I don't have to give Cole the money, do I? And then he decided, like, fuck this guy. I'm not giving Cole the money. What fuck do I care about this? I don't know this guy. So yeah, that put this guy talking about me. Jell says there's been no logic to the last 10 minutes of dialogue. Well, there's been no logic to me giving you this ban right now, but I'm just gonna go ahead and give it to you, dude. Kim Jong Joey in the house, try and give a ban.
Yeah.
We got a lot of there's a lot of people in the chat today. Cole, a lot of people came out to see you. We appreciate you once again coming on. We got a lot of rags out there. Puppy Luving, what's up, puppy? Do you know how many people say Poppy to me through messages on Twitter now? Like people like you don't even think like watch the podcast. They're like, what's up, Poppy? Nice podcast today. It's Do you find yourself using Poppy at all in your regular lingo?
No, it hasn't crept in there.
That's sad.
One fades, but
I could see you and the girlfriend being like, "What's up, puppy?" And then she's like, "Cole, shut the fuck up, man. What are you doing?" Like,
I don't see it happening. I don't think Poppy's gonna fly with her.
Why not? Is she like a girl? She's not a Poppy kind of girl.
I don't think so.
She's like, what kind of? How would you describe your girlfriend if you had to describe her? If she's watching this.
Super smart, fun, really upbeat, easygoing person. Yeah.
I was thinking about. I was discussing this earlier with my girlfriend in the kitchen. She was like, "Oh, who are you having on today?" I'm like, "CTS Cole South." He's like, "Oh, what's he like?" I was like, "Oh, he's playing a long time. He's married. He likes to do snowboarding, stuff like that." He's like, "Oh, what kind of girl is he married to?" I was like, "Well, I don't know what kind of girl he's married to, But if I had to speculate what kind of girl he's married to, which we sometimes like speculating around here on the podcast, that's kind of the kind of girl I would have described. Like probably
Yeah,
like
super positive and supporting, and like if I'm playing a long poker session, she's got no problem making dinner and bringing it over to the computer. At the same time, like is really encouraging of us getting out and trying new restaurants and checking out new places, and that's as a poker player it can be so easy to get into that same routine, where you just eat in the same place for breakfast every morning, going to work out, playing poker, getting delivery, that sort of thing, and yeah, she's really adventurous and positive, and yeah, perfect.
So I guess when you're playing these sessions, when you're traveling for poker and stuff like that, does she come with you? Is she at home? You said
Yep.
she comes with her.
Frequently comes with, yeah. Yeah, sometimes stays back in the U.S., but frequently will come down to Mexico or up to Montreal or Vancouver.
So how does she react when you're playing these long sessions and you might be stuck or you might want to keep playing? Because I know sometimes some people have a problem with their girlfriend or significant other, their wife, that they're not very supportive, and that really hinders their success or their improvement.
Yeah, the biggest thing I think for me is I try to stay on like a pretty normal schedule, just playing like 9 to 5 if we're together, to where if I start staying up all night playing poker, it's just kind of a disaster from like a life standpoint when our schedules aren't overlapping and I'm tired and grumpy, and so I've just found that like playing 9 to 5, except on those rare exceptions where I'm insanely tilted or there's a really good game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and as long as kind of we're clear about that, she's super supportive of that, and bring me lunch at the computer if I'm there, or stay out of my hair and watch The Bachelor if I'm losing.
Are you watching The Bachelor this season?
No, but she watches religiously.
Oh man, you got to get on The Bachelor CTS. That show. I mean, you got to fast forward. You got to watch it where you can fast forward through the slow parts, like when they're talking. You're just like, shut the fuck up, please. But it's kind of a fun. It's like fun. I like that show.
When we were living in D.C., she had a group of girlfriends a couple years ago that she would play Fantasy Bachelor with, and they had like this giant whiteboard with like a bunch of different actions, like every time like one of the girls gets blackout drunk or like.
Oh, what a genius!
Yeah, so it'd be like both sort of a drinking game and gambling. It seemed pretty genius.
If anyone out there's listening and they want to play the next season in Fantasy Bachelor or Bachelorette, I'm in. Hit me up anytime. I'm in for any Fantasy Bachelorette. I'm in for any Fantasy Real World Road Rules Challenge, and I'm in for any Fantasy Real World. What'd you say?
Real World Road Rules Challenge?
Do you watch the challenge on MTV?
No, I had no idea that was still on TV. I didn't know they still had Real World or Road Rules.
The Real World this year is in Chicago. It's called Real World Skeletons. It's been really good. The challenge comes on after that on Monday nights, Tuesday nights, Monday nights, Tuesday nights. It's really good. The only shows I actually watch live, so yeah.
Nice, good to know. You gonna send in a video, get on the next season?
No, I don't think they'll let me on a season. I'm like semi like a little bit too level headed, I think, for that show. Like they want you to really freak out and like go crazy. I guess I could act that way, but yeah. Bruno said or Ben says, I don't see Cole getting tilted. He's too chill.
Everyone gets tilted for sure.
Yeah. I don't see you probably get less tilted than most.
I think the mental game of poker is super important in general, and there are things you can do to like combat tilt or manage it, and those are really important. Whether it's like taking a break and just like hopping off my computer and doing a few push-ups, or finding out when enough is enough and just quitting. I used to use a piece of software called Tilt Breaker. Have you heard of that?
Oh yeah, that's an old school
Yeah,
like.
Cool. You can set like a trailing stop loss, so it'd be like never let me lose more than 400 BBs in a day, and if I ever trail 300 BBs past my like peak of the day, lock me out of the computer for 12 hours or whatever. And I really like that because you could set these super tight stop losses that then made you play short sessions where you played really well. You never had the stress of like going off and losing 20 buy-ins or whatever. I think that software makes a lot of sense for a lot of people. It never really caught on because people like love the idea of a stop loss, but hate the idea of actually using it. Yeah.
What did so along that same line, you said you had one when you might have been up a certain amount of money and then fell down from that point.
Yeah.
And I know someone like Jungleman, I recently had him on a couple days ago. I think he would advocate in that situation it might be a bad thing to stop at that point. Say you're up this, you lose a couple buy-ins. if you're playing well and if you're in a good game, then you shouldn't be stopping at that point. But you found in the past you've stopped at that point.
You know, I think different things work well for different people, and maybe Jungleman has just like a naturally super strong mental game, and if he loses 4 buy-ins or whatever, he's not going to get rattled. And also someone like Jungleman, like obviously has such a sick edge on such a wide field of the competition, whereas if you're playing in games where, you know, your A game has a couple BB 100 edge, your B game's break even, and your C game's losing. You know, you really need to make sure that you never play your C game, and you sure as hell never play your F game. And if you can just play shorter sessions where you always play your A game, you know, you're going to do a lot better. Whereas Jungleman, you know, his D game is still probably beating most people, right? So.
Yeah, goddamn Savant, Jungleman the Savant, man. That kid, I like that kid. I like chatting with him. He's definitely interesting. He's fun. I think he's smart. I think he's like a pretty good guy actually. He gets a lot of negative, you know, which I understand. He says a lot of crazy shit. Maybe has some outbursts and stuff like that. But
yeah, you know, I feel like a lot of the negativity you see online about Jungleman though is like more of like poking fun. Like I don't think people think Jungleman is like an angry or bad person or something. Like
I think some people
definitely interviews with him. He's like a pretty interesting, like, yeah, he's a little eccentric, but like he's a cool guy.
Yeah, I think some people definitely think he's angry and like a terrible person for sure.
Really? Huh.
100%. I mean, let's think about what people thought about you. And they still think about you. They probably think these irrational things that you're like, that makes like, that's not me at all. But you know how people, like everyone on the internet's gonna have this, you know, yeah, it's just yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not like all that up on the poker gossip, but I like Jungleman.
Yeah, I don't think there's much like.
I do have one Jungleman story.
Oh, okay. Let's hear a Jungleman story. Let's go.
Like everybody's got a Jungleman story, right?
That's true. Let's hear it.
We were playing live maybe 4 years ago at the Rio, 200, 400 PLO.
Okay.
There's a main game that everybody wants to get into. But there's a waiting list, and there's so much stupid bullshit, live poker politics, on like being the first person in the waiting list. And for once, the poker room actually tried to do something fair, and it's like, oh, well, let's have like a must-move game, where we'll start this second game, and anybody who plays in here, then like, it was a random lottery, one of those players would be moved into the main game when a seat opened up. And everybody's posturing like, yeah, I'll play in this side game, I'll play in this side game. Nobody really wants to play each other, because it was like, a pretty tough group of players hanging out for the second game, and everyone live is like, I mean, if you think like the bum hunting and game selection is big online, it's like 10 times worse live. But so Jungleman's like, all right, you know, let's start this side game. And so I'm like, all right, yeah, let's go play. So we sit down, like I pull out a bunch of cash and chips, and he's like, oh, can you like loan me 100K? I'm like, what? It's like, yeah, I don't have any money, but I'll start the side game with you. Like, no, you wanted to like start a 240 PLO game, but you don't have any money with you? I don't know. It was just funny how like how nonchalant it was.
What happened? What happened? Keep going. Tell us more.
That's where it ended. I was like, no, I don't want to loan you 100K to like start a game that you're probably a favorite against me in anyways, just so we can like posture to get into this main game. And then nobody got into the game. So
the game didn't start?
The second game didn't, yeah. I don't know, this was 4 years ago. I don't really remember the end of it. I just remember him asking, like, sitting down with no money like it was totally standard. But that said, like, I really like Jungleman. He's
to live in the Jungleman world. I want to live in the Jungleman world for a couple of things. Like, hey, 100,000, please, Cole. Thank you. Like,
just our, you know.
Please send me a 100,000. Do you have a Jungleman impression? You know how we went away from those for a while, but you know, shout out to Big Daddy Dankness out there, Will, who's in the chat right now. He started Jungleman impressions. Do you have a Jungleman impression?
I don't. I got the Jungleman story, but that's it. You know, Jungleman was just on here so recently. I don't think anybody can top Dan Cates himself.
He does some good Jungleman impressions of himself, I must say.
I recently rewatched the video of him getting pocket fives after Dan Coleman shoves the ace-queen, just slamming the table. That one's pretty brilliant.
Yeah. Jungleman's great. There's been a couple like I went on like a Jungleman YouTube black hole where I like watched a couple videos. He's like always being so angry in these videos. It's great. I mean, he's like a I don't want to say Phil Hellmuth because that's getting carried away, but he's like that kind of if TV poker was more popular, he'd be like they would have him on more just because he gives these like funny outbursts at random moments in time.
For sure, and at the same time, I mean, Jungleman's probably been playing like high stakes live games and tournaments in front of a camera for like hundreds of hours, and yeah, me and you can go on YouTube and find 10 2-minute clips where he does something outrageous. But like, I bet if someone was following me around with the camera, for that long, they'd have some pretty ridiculous stuff too.
I don't think so. I don't think they would have anything on you.
Did somebody mention hiring Jungleman's hitman to get my 32K back?
You could. Are you thinking about doing that? I hope not. Don't tell us if you are. Don't. There's going to be an NVG thread. Just don't say anything, Cole. Let me move on.
I don't know anything more behind that story, but I'm definitely curious.
Don't say anything about you hiring a hitman for someone. There's going to be Cole South hires hitman ? We don't want the NVG thread created for this. So let's not talk about that one. I'm going to scroll back up in the chat here real quick. I got to give a couple of shout-outs, guys. It's been too long. In the Jungleman podcast, I'm sorry, guys. I know you guys that watch live, I really neglected shout-outs, and I am not going to neglect shout-outs this time. Cole, I'm going to give a couple of shout-outs to some of the regs. Who we got out there? Rems. Puppy, what's up? Rems, Cole, Kago. Oh, man, that's terrible pronouncing these names. Kago, it says first time on the live stream. What's up, Kago? A's, Gola, Puppy, Ruben M. You've been asking some weird questions about like sex and gangbangs and stuff like that, but it's okay. We got love for you, Puppy. It's all right. D-Cost says, Joe, did you go sleeveless to match CTS or just a happy accident? I can tell from that comment you're not a hardcore fan, D-Cost, and then that concerns me because, as you know, I always wear tank top. Cole South recognized that the tank top was the proper attire for the podcast. Plus, he has the Eat Sleep Pillow tank top on the limited edition. So, Andre S., Puppy, Zach, what's up, Zach? Charter, what's up, Charter? It's his wife, bro. Get it right. Sorry, Cole. I'm gonna call your girlfriend your wife. It's your wife. Stop lagging, computer. Used to fuck this Spanish chick, and she always said "papi, papi, papi," and I asked what it meant, and she said "baby" or "babe" or a few other things. Guys who are curious what papi means whatever you want it to mean. The thing about like the English language or the language in general is you can make up words and just give them their own meaning. So when I say papi, it can mean baby, it can mean friend, it can mean lover, it can mean I hate you, it can mean fuck you, it can mean anything. So that's my definition of papi. Dankness, what's up, Papito? Sir Goldenhorn, Rems, Matt, Ben. Fuck, man, we got a lot of all right, that's all the shout-outs for right now. Let's get back to Cole. So, you ever give shout-outs, Cole?
No, I'm happy to, but...
You want to give a couple shout-outs? Anybody out there listening that you might know that you want to give a couple shout-outs to?
I don't know how to see the list of people. I recognize a few names. Loose Change, that sounds familiar from 2+2. And Charter, for sure. Charter, thanks for tuning in.
Sometimes they like your family, because I tag you on Facebook on this. I don't know if you have it where it goes on your thing. It'll go on your wall. Let me see if it does. Like there'll be secret people watching that you don't know that are watching it.
Well, shout out to you. Thanks for having me on, man.
Oh yeah, Cole. Thanks for having you. Thanks for coming on, Cole. We've been trying to. I think I asked you to come on a bit of time before. What did you mention last time I tried to get you on? You said you weren't playing as much poker on like Start and stuff like that. So you didn't want to. You thought like you didn't want to come on because.
I think a lot of people, kind of like we were talking about with the coaching thing, just do a ton of promotion of themselves that, I never want to come off like I'm talking the talk and not walking the walk,
Yeah. I think that's with you. I mean, you've been battling the PokerStars streets. You've been putting in some work these past couple of years. You're one of those American guys who still gets out there and plays and I think has a pretty high level of respect even amongst the people playing in the game still these days.
I've kind of battled my way through pretty much all the top regs in the past couple of years, so I think I've got a pretty good read on, who's doing what. And
you were also nominated for a 2014 High Stakes PLO Award. I believe you lost that award.
Didn't I?
Were you disappointed you lost? So for those that don't know, I had High Stakes PLO Awards. Cole South was nominated for the Best Run God player, and you lost to Odd Odson, unfortunately.
You know, if there's one person to lose to on Run God, Odson's probably it.
You know, earlier you were mentioning you like to pick up pieces from different players' games. So do you feel like you've tried to pick up the Run God from Odson?
Totally. You know, you really got to balance out your timing on the button clicking. Also, a big one is if you don't ask for the right cards, you might not receive them. You know, if you need that heart or that 4, got to ask.
Is this like some secret GTO that's going to be out in the next book?
You know, I'm keeping that one close to the wraps just for the podcast.
Well, technically, you just told us so. Oh, Max, my boy Chisness, future guest of the podcast, asked a great question. Are you going to name your kid East? To counter the West Kardashian baby.
I like that. I'll have to mention that to my wife. That's a good one. And Wim, no, I'm not swapping action with anyone.
I feel like there's not many. Do you still have a lot of friends that are playing PLO online and stuff like that?
You know, I do. It's like a different set of people, but honestly, I really like just having more control over my results and living with that. And yeah, if someone like wants to sell me a piece in the right game, I'll buy it. I don't really like selling pieces of myself. It feels nice to win money for your friends, but it feels worse to lose their money.
Oh yeah,
for sure. Yeah, so I've sold a piece in one match over the past 3 years, probably. That's it.
Are you playing in any of these 100, 200 games that have been running on Stars, the PLO game?
Yeah, I've been in some. It definitely makes you think about the whole Zoom thing on 2550, because now at 100, 200, it's such a mad race to get in the game, because for anybody who's not aware, on PokerStars High Stakes, 2550 is all Zoom. So it's pretty fair to get in the games. And there are probably some problems with it, where it does seem a little weird how, you know, all the pros have 4 entries and you've got the recreational players with 1. I'm not sure how sustainable it is, and maybe there needs to be some middle ground. But right now, in the 100, 200 game, once, you know, Ike Haxton or Ben 86 is sitting there, and a fun player joins, and then everybody's got seating scripts that insta-grabs all the seats, that no matter how fast of a button clicker you are, you're never going to beat it. And yeah, it makes me kind of long for Zoom. I mean, I don't have a seating script, so I'm sure the guys with seating scripts are stoked about it. And there's also like a weird kind of posturing thing where, like on PokerStars, the second guy to sit at the table can sit there sitting out, right? Mm-hmm. But then the third one, he's camping. But then, like, what if the third one kind of wants to play a 3-handed game? I don't know. The whole system seems a little screwy.
Oh yeah, it definitely. You know, it's one of those things. It's like, what can you do, right? There's different options Stars could take. All have their pros, all have their cons. Right now, they introduced Zoom about a year and a couple months ago. I'm surprised they haven't tried something else, even just try it for a brief time, just to see what would happen.
Yeah, I'm curious how that table starter thing would go. Have you ever, like, played in a game that's gotten going with table starter? I've never seen it run, but it makes sense.
I feel like I started a 510 like Euro, because like 510 Euro I think had like table starter, I believe, and I started one of those a long time ago. But I've never, you know, that's been something the no limit guys have had to deal with a lot. My no limit friends I still talk to, which are a couple, they say table starter doesn't work, and you know, what would you do? I mean, what could you do? How would you change the situation for a more, you know, quote unquote fair way to do things?
Man, it's tough. I'm almost like a proponent of Zoom with less than 4 entries. Something seems unsustainable to me about a Zoom pool where all these top players can have 4 entries and a recreational player has 1 entry and the rake's pretty high, particularly at something like 255 Zoom. I mean, I guess the level of competition's a little softer and there are more recreational players, but it seems tough for that to succeed long-term to me. That said, PokerStars has the numbers, so maybe I'm just totally wrong there. What they have done for Heads Up with the King of the Hill has been phenomenal. I think everyone would agree that King of the Hill has worked out incredibly well for, you know, 5-10 plus PLO Heads Up action. Now there's 10 tables for, you know, 50, 100, and 25, 50. Is there like, there's a little more than 10, I think, for 10, 20, and 510. But I think that's worked incredibly well, and there's been a lot more action, and it gives a good incentive to get better and move up because not anybody can open one of those tables. So to get one, you have to have certain threshold of skill, and then they're quite valuable to have.
Are people bad at you for the tables when you're sitting down?
Pretty much always I can get one, but maybe that won't be the case tomorrow. Who knows? I mean, there's always someone up and coming doing things really well, and yeah, there's plenty of times where I've kind of battled people that I wouldn't play otherwise just to get a table. Say I played Jungleman the other day, and I wouldn't have battled them on full tilt. But on Poker Stars, there's 10, 25, 50 tables. I think 4 of them had matches going, so there are only 6 open. And Jungleman kind of seemed like the most appealing out of those guys for me to one table. I think if you're 4-tabling like a real fast match or something, that's probably playing into his strengths a bit more. But if you're going to one-table someone, yeah. And he and I had battled a little bit on Euro sites in the past couple of years, so I had a decent idea kind of what to expect.
I feel like, I guess going to the 6-mech thing, someone asked why was 2550 Zoom running so often recently, and I think it's directly correlated with 100-200 running. And even if people aren't playing 100-200, just seeing those tables run and sweating that action, I think it's going to make people more inclined to want to play 2550. And then you have the guys that are playing 100-200, well, they're going to sit 2550 Zoom, obviously, because they're playing 100-200. They're just it's weird how I think, do you agree with that, that running creates more action lower, which it seems.
I hadn't thought about that. Maybe. I'm always surprised how all it takes for the 2550 Zoom pool to get going is one mediocre guy to sit, and then instantly, 12 regs of varying tiers sit, all with 3 or 4 entries, and this one guy who's he's losing, but not losing enough to cover the rake for everybody, much less, if you're kind of in that bottom tier reg, it's just not going to be a good proposition for you,
Well, that's the great thing with PLO is that those people in that bottom tier of reg probably might see well, there's some guys you can't. I don't see how someone could see like Ben in the pool and be like, oh no, he's probably not. I think I got a little bit of edge over Ben. You know what I mean? There's some of these guys like Barry Sweet and Barry Sweet's in the pool. You're not Barry Sweet's. I mean, some people might think Barry Sweet's terrible, but I don't think many people are going to think like it. What do you say?
I don't think I've heard anybody say that, at least at ring games.
Yeah, actually, I don't think I've ever heard anybody say that either. So that's what I mean. That's the point. When you're playing 2550, even these regs that maybe they're top tier regs, but they're not maybe at the top tier, which doesn't make them top tier regs actually, which makes them second top tier regs. Or I guess that's a better way to describe them. But I can't even see how these guys would look at the pool and be like, oh, very sweet, Ben. I can't think of anything else right now. But these guys are here. I have an edge. They just play because it's PLO. That's the great thing about PLO is it just. You just want to get in there and play. You just want to play. You're just fuck it, I want to play.
I think that's one thing I really took for granted until Black Friday. Just how much fun online poker is, and battling and playing tough games and playing soft games and playing one table and playing a lot of tables. It's all just a lot of fun. And then once it was taken away from you in the U.S., it's I really missed that.
Yeah. Well, now that we're talking about the fun in PLO, we got a hand history to go over, guys. We got a treat for you today. So recently, Cole actually was involved in a interesting hand on 2550 Zoom, and we'll just go over it, guys. Let me pull it up here for those who haven't seen it, because you're in for a fun hand. Okay, guys, let me read this off to you here. So I'm going to make the font a little bigger so you guys can go with me here. All right, boys, we got a 2550 Zoom hand. So 2550 Zoom, it's all Zoom. So yeah, as you can see in this lineup looks like maybe one of the softer 2550 Zoom lineups I've seen in recent memory. It's got Do It Buddy, who's a random person I think shows up. Keko, I actually don't know who that is. Flopper has been around a long time. Bodamus, debatably a fun player. Bong Bob, who's on a very, very sick heater right now. And then obviously our hero, Cole Sell. So Bodamus starts the hand with 1,000 big blinds. So when I first read this hand, I thought he only had 100 big blinds. So you can go over it with me from a 100 big blind perspective from Bodamus. And then Bong Bob has 37,000, and then Cole has 15K. He's 300 big blinds deep. All right, so Badamus opens the button to pot with ace-ace, jack-6 with 3 diamonds. Bong Bob 3-bets the small blind with king 10, jack 8, double suited. Obviously, any double suited hands means you got to 3-bet at all points in time. Cole South, wanting to play a hand with the fun player, calls the big blind with king queen jack 8 with queen jack 8 of hearts. So he's looking to make that straight flush. It looks like here. Bodamus then 4-bets the 2300 with his aces because he's got aces and he's in position. Bong Bob, I don't know what Bong Bob's thinking. So when I first saw this hand, I thought Bodamus had 100 big blinds and Bong Bob just wanted to get all in for 100 big blinds. I was like, oh, okay, king 10, jack 8, double suited. How bad could it be, right? Then I looked at the hand. They're 750 big blinds deep. He decides to 5-bet the small. This just goes to show you how good Bong Bob's running. He's just like, fuck it. I'm 5-betting king jack. Fuck this shit. Like, this goes to show you how delusional you can get when you're on a heater at PLO. Cole South decides king queen jack 8. He decides both players here probably have aces. He runs a quick GTO sim in his head. He decides king queen jack 8, good hand to call here pre-flop, $7,000. Bodamus 6-bets to $30,000. Bong Bob then goes all in for $37,000. Obviously, Cole South is like, Cole South at this point you can't fold once you put $500 in the pot pre-flop. You can't fold. He calls. Bodamus calls. We get a 3-way all in for a $90,000 pot. They run it one time, and our hero Bodamus takes it down. Cole South, what's happening here? Why is this pot $90,000 all in pre-flop at 25.50 zoom?
Oh, just a bunch of fishy gambling, probably by everybody involved. I mean, I think nobody plays every hand perfect. This is super spewy, probably on a few people's parts, certainly mine. I think you explained it pretty well. Like, in general, everybody's trying to play a lot of pots with Bodamus. So, I got somewhat of a pretty hand, and I've already got $50 in the pot, so how could I fold for, just 15,000 more?
Yeah.
So, and once Bong Bob 5-bet, it really felt like both of them had aces. Like, Bodamus really, I mean, does some weird stuff, but it didn't seem like this was a spot where he was going to get super out of line. And then Bong Bob, he's 750 BBs deep, and he's 5-betting. So it's like, all right, well, they probably both have aces. Whatever. Let's gamble. But I got Bong Bob's pretty hard. He did not have aces. And, yeah, at least Bodamus shipped it, Golf clap.
Let's talk about Bong Bob's play here for a second, boys. What the fuck is Bong Bob thinking here? See, what the fuck is Bong Bob doing here?
Jack 10-8 double suited. That's a pretty hand,
I mean, I like his hand. The thing about his hand is it only makes one straight flush. Typically, if I'm going to 5-bet a double-suited hand, I like it to make 2 straight flushes. I'm pretty sure you're the same way.
It's an old-school poker theory popularized by, Gordo, Mike Gordinsky.
What was his theory? Let's teach to the people out there today.
The way to have double-suited hands is to have the Gordo. If you have like King Queen 6-5 double-suited, you don't want the King high suit and the Queen high suit. You want the King Queen and the 6-5, so you can make the 2 straight flush.
Oh. Wow.
Good guy too. He's one of my favorite people in poker for sure.
That's a really good theory.
He was old school PLO. He was playing like 10, 20 PLO on party poker back before anybody knew it existed.
Well, he's probably really ahead of the times.
Gordo.
I mean, this hand specifically, how good do you think Bong Bob's running in his life right now at PLO to 5-bet this hand from the small blind and probably think it's like he's making like a pretty good play?
Yeah, Bong Bob only runs it once in all pots too, so the guy's got some gamble in some spots. Good for him. Me and him have tangled pretty hard for sure.
Oh, Bong Bob. Oh, back. We're out of the hand history, guys. But yeah, this was a hand I saw. Some people are said I'm leaking some strategy right now. Yeah, I mean, listen, guys. If you learn anything from this hand, it's that if you're 750 big blinds deep, you might not want to 5-bet King 10, Jack 8 double suited in this situation.
Somebody else mentioned a key strap point in chat earlier that the better GTO is getting there optimally. That's what Bong Bob's been studying, I think.
And I mean, we joke about that, and I think, but this is an actual serious thing, in that if you run good, like a berry sweet, that's a skill. You can 5-bet a hand like this with run good equity, because like Ike Hollywood Haxton, this is something. So okay, I'm gonna give some information from people out there that they might not know. Ike Haxton obviously has the PLO Dream Machine. One a factor in the Dream Machine is the ability to run good. And for somebody like with the Hollywood Haxton account, like this is important. This is really underrated. It feels like you took advantage of this back in the day when you were playing on full tilt and you ran up, you ran out. Allegedly, you might have won a lot of money on full tilt. It feels like you were ahead of the times thinking about run good equity in situations.
It's definitely important. Yeah.
It is. It really. See, like as you're not even going into much detail, that's how we know it's a true thing.
Keep that one, yeah, undercover.
It's like, yeah, I'm sure you're sitting there sometimes like, well, this is close, but I run really well. I'm just going to call, and then you win, and you're like, huh, okay, that makes sense.
It's funny about people talking about Ike as, like, running super hot, though, and, like, maybe being, like, new to PLO. I feel like I hear a lot of people saying, like, Ike's, like, he's, like, from a Nolan Holden background. He's new to PLO. Yeah, he'll probably be good at some point. It's like, no, Ike's already, like, pretty much the best.
Who are you referring to?
Ike Haxton, Hollywood.
Oh, I don't know a guy named Ike. What do you call him? What's his nickname?
Hollywood.
Oh, you're about Hollywood Haxton. Oh, man, where's the glasses at? Talking about, let me get I think Ike, are you here? Ike. I think Ike's over. Ike, are you in the beanbag right now? I think Ike's walking in. He's
over there running some Sims.
Like Cole.
Oh, nice.
Hi, Cole. Hey, Ike Haxton here. What were you saying about my ability at PLO?
Quite strong.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you got running simulations like I have a couple hours a day, and I think I'm doing okay, but like I have some room for improvement. That's Ike Haxton, man. You got an Ike Haxton impression? Let's hear it. Give us an Ike Haxton impression.
I have an Ike impression, man. I haven't spent much time with him.
I haven't spent much time with him either. I have an impression for you, though.
I need the glasses, I haven't seen Ike rock the tank either. But.
I feel like Ike Haxton has some sick muscles underneath the sweater that he always wears. Yeah.
He seems to have his stuff sorted out. He's doing all right.
I like Ike Haxton. Everyone keeps saying, "Are we going to get Hollywood on a podcast one day?" Ike Haxton.
He was cool on Joe Rogan. Do you hear that?
Yeah, I listened to that one. Yeah. That was pretty. I feel like, how can you go from Joe Rogan to the Joe Ingram podcast, though? Not to like put myself down, but it seems like a step down. I mean, we got a popular poker podcast, but he's got a popular podcast in general. So, yeah, I feel like we're. Yeah, I don't know. What are you looking at over there?
Sorry, I think my comments got screwed up, so like they had stopped scrolling.
Oh, okay, yeah, it happens sometimes.
So impressed with your sick Ike Haxton impression. It like froze on me.
You know what? Honestly, I've been studying the voice. I've been breaking it down into this voice simulator machine I have. So what happens is you talk into this program, and then it can auto tune your voice to a certain way if you put another voice into the program. So I've been really trying to get my Hollywood Haxton voice down, so I could then go comment. I could make YouTube videos commenting on live play, and then do the Ike Haxton voice and say I'm Ike Haxton. And then people would think, oh, this is like Haxton giving this commentary on this hand. But, yeah, actually I'm not.
The best impression by far ever in the poker world is certainly Jedi Masters of Odd Oddson. If anybody on this stream has not seen this, you need to go YouTube Jedi Master 82 and watch his Odd Oddson video. I watch it probably once a week, just for equal parts training and amusement. It is so good.
Well, for those guys that haven't seen, the Jedi Master is a high stakes PLO player from Sweden. He's very weird, and by weird I mean lovable, and by lovable I mean funny, and by funny I mean he's only funny sometimes. And he made this funny video about Odd Oddson where he emulates Odd Oddson's voice, and he plays a hand from Odd Oddson's perspective where Odd Oddson makes a fun play, and Jedi Master breaks it down and what Odd Oddson might be thinking, and it's very great.
Impressive. It's really good.
Yeah, I really wish Jedi Master would post more on 2+2 and post more on in general.
Yeah, he's been kind of quiet like the past 6 months. I feel like I haven't heard too much from him, seen him at the tables very often. He's a really good player too.
Yeah. I think he was making Cardrunners videos for a little bit of time.
Mm.
Still might.
Mm.
Yeah. I
Maybe
wish.
Baby's got him locked away in a dungeon.
You think TC's got him locked away in a dungeon? Well, TC's not very.
Working on content.
Taylor still involved with Cardrunners that much? At the is that?
I'm not really sure. I haven't been involved with them for so long, so as far as like day-to-day operations there, I don't really know.
Yeah. Bruno, shout out to Bruno. I've had him on the podcast before. He called in once. Says, Joe, at the risk of being banned, I'm not going to ban you, Bruno. You're one of our guys. Could you ask Cole about his trip to Antarctica and how did he prepare for that?
Yeah, sure. So I went on a snowboarding and climbing trip in Antarctica, I guess, last November.
What?
Took a boat from the southern tip of Argentina to Antarctica. So it was like a 2.5-day boat ride. And then you kind of go up and down the coast climbing and snowboarding every day. Insanely fun, really remote out there stuff. As far as training, just did a lot of split boarding beforehand, so you're super comfortable with all your gear because like it's not like you have to be an insanely sick snowboarder, but you just can't really have anything go wrong. Like if you're out on some remote mountain in Antarctica and your binding breaks and you don't know how to fix it, or you sprain an ankle, like that's the type of thing that's like no big deal at a ski resort, but can be super serious if like you get minorly injured or break your arm at the end of a day and you're like on a mountain in Antarctica and it's really hard to get back to the boat, much less get rescued or something. So it's more about just like being competent and not doing anything too crazy. And I think most people on the trip were probably a bit stronger and more experienced in ski mountaineering than me. So kind of to make up for that, I just tried to go into it super fit. And so like at least, maybe they were going to like know their shit better in the mountains than me. And not that I'm like clueless, like I've done quite a bit of split boarding and I've taken like some courses on ski mountaineering and avalanche safety and stuff. But I tried to make sure I went into it like so my endurance was going to be the best out of my group. So like maybe I'd be slowing people down with some other stuff, but I was never going to be slowing people down going uphill at least. And that worked out pretty well.
Who were the people you went to Antarctica with?
A bunch of random people. It was an operation that I've been heli skiing with up in Alaska called Points North, and they run this trip every year in conjunction with a company called Ice Axe Adventures. And when I was heli skiing with them in Alaska, at dinner one night, they put on like a slideshow of the Antarctica trip, and it's like, oh man, if I can ever swing that, I gotta go. It just looked amazing. I mean, you're hopping off the boat right onto the glacier mountains, and then riding terrain all the way down to the water, penguins next to you like at the bottom, really, really sick.
So you're at home, you're in DC, you're talking with your girlfriend, you mentioned I'm going to go to Antarctica. What happens then?
I had been threatening to do it for a while. Like once I saw that slideshow, I kind of told her like, I'm going to make this happen at some point. And it was like a 3-week trip, so I try to build up some goodwill beforehand.
Girlfriend GTO right there.
Yeah, not that it went like over tremendously smoothly, but I pulled it off all right.
Okay, so we're in DC, we're packing our bag. What do we pack to bring to Antarctica? How much can we pack? Like, what's the procedure for that?
I had my kind of ski and mountain kit, so like in my ski bag, split board, poles, pack, avalanche safety gear, crampons, ice axe, that sort of stuff. Camera, bunch of clothes. I think, you want to bring everything you need, but you don't want to overpack for a trip like that. It's just kind of like a pain in the ass lugging a bunch of shit like literally all the way across the world.
So how do you get to Antarctica? How do you go to Argentina? You fly to Argentina. You meet these group of people that you kind of know, but you don't know that well.
Exactly. Then you all try to get real drunk. So the Drake Passage, which is the water between Argentina and Antarctica, doesn't just send you over the board seasick, because it's literally 40-foot waves and 40-foot swells the entire time. So it's this like massive Russian ice-breaking ship that for like 2.5 days straight is going from tilted 20 degrees this way, 10 seconds later, whole ship's this way. And like even just to like get up and go to the bathroom or something, you have to like really think about like timing out. Okay, the boat's going to be like in this position in 10 seconds. I'll get up and run to the bathroom, then hold on to the railing. The boat trip was no joke. Like, I wasn't itching to go back the next day, mainly just because of the boat trip. That was pretty serious. But it's long enough in history now that I would totally go back next year. I've kind of forgotten about how painful that was.
It's the last 2 days. The boat's going back and forth for 2 days.
A little more than that, yeah, like 2.5 days the entire time. You go to breakfast and like all the plates are like on these stick pads that theoretically keep them down. But like once a big wave comes, everybody's breakfast is just thrown across the room. It's pretty rough. But then once you're down there, the water's like perfectly calm and still and protected.
Well, then you're in Antarctica. So okay, so we get to Antarctica. Where are we staying in Antarctica? Where do we stay?
You've got a room on the boat, and so you kind of get off the boat at like 7 a.m. with kind of an objective in mind, or maybe 3 objectives depending on kind of the safety of the snow, how everybody's feeling, like endurance-wise. Where it's like, okay, maybe we'll try to ski this peak or this mountain or this line or whatever, and then you decide how you're going to get there safely. And probably on your average day, you do 4 runs, but like the better days are the days where you just do 1, and it's like a real pain in the ass to get to, and you really earn it, and it's nice and long and really fun. Yeah, definitely. If anybody's remotely interested in ski mountaineering or splitboarding, highly recommending go take a class and check it out. It's a ton of fun.
Wow. Sounds pretty sweet.
It's just a big party on the boat every day after snowboarding. I mean, everybody's drinking and barbecuing out on the deck, and then one day, vodka shots, everybody leapt off the top of the boat into the water.
The 40-foot waves?
No. Once you're down there, the water's calm. So
okay.
No, totally clear. But it's 31 degrees. It's salt water, and it's below freezing. And they're like chunks of icebergs floating around. It's really cold.
And you guys just jump in? No, like that's in?
Yeah, it wasn't as bad as you expected. Honestly, the scarier thing was jumping, because like we were jumping from one of the decks of the ship, so it was like a pretty big cliff jump. Like the adrenaline from jumping was worse than the cold of the water by far.
Wow.
Mateo just asked if I'd heard about Baldface. Yes, I've been like 4 or 5 times. It's amazing. If anybody's up for a real sick backcountry snowboarding or skiing trip, Google Baldface and book a trip immediately. It's like the sickest lodge in British Columbia. Amazing terrain. It's snowcat skiing, so they've got a bunch of roads they clear the trees from in the summer, and then they drive you around in a snowcat. You've got massive terrain. It's all fresh tracks. I go, every year on a trip like that with a couple poker players, and it's always the highlight of the year, just snowboarding all day and then drinking and playing Chinese at night.
Are these the photos you upload to your Instagram then? All these your adventures?
Yeah, we went to a heli skiing lodge in BC a few weeks ago. Me and 3 other poker guys. And I think I put a couple shots up from there.
Sounds very something. I'm trying to think of the correct words I'm going to use to describe what it sounds like to me. Sounds kind of scary in a way, but fun, but scary at the same time. You know what I mean? It's like that mixture of things. It sounds like it's, yeah. I mean, what's your motivation for doing this? Why do you like what do you? I think Dank just said something like, how can you equate this just to PLO, high stakes PLO, for instance? The feeling you get from the two at all.
I mean, I guess there's some aspect of managing risk for both of them, but like in the mountains, it's all about fun and just exploring, and like, yeah, it's purely just a pleasure thing, Poker, like, if I wasn't playing it for a living, like, I'd certainly still be playing poker for fun, like, on some aspect, and I really enjoy playing online poker. But it's very different, 2 very different things for sure.
Does your wife ever try to get you to maybe take up a less hobby where you can't die in a foreign country on a mountain?
I think more she just like trusts me to make smart decisions. I'm not doing anything that, it's not like I have some snowboarding goal in mind. It's like, all right, well, there's like a 8% chance I'm going to die trying to get there. Like, we've never, it's not something that I take a lot of risk with. Try to be very conservative about it. Don't push the boundaries.
Spam Robin says challenging is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah,
Challenging is one of the words I would use. Yeah.
challenging and rewarding. You know, like I think there's a few types of fun. There's like fun in the moment, and there's like that type 2 kind of fun that's like fun when you get back to the lodge and are having a beer and thinking about it. And I think it's important to have both of them. And like particularly with like climbing and snowboarding, like the way up is like sometimes like, man, what the hell am I doing? This is like really difficult, and I'm out here purely because I put myself out here. And then you get to the top, and it's like, oh man, that was so rewarding. And then the way down is always fun, and yeah.
I wonder if you can take that, like, you probably can, that like sense of, because I'm sure you feel some like reward accomplishment from doing something like this, so you can kind of take that and carry it over into other parts of your life too. I mean, if you can like conquer like a Antarctic mountain and go and climb up it and then go down it. I mean, you're not going to be too terrified to do many other things. Like, you know, like some things to some people that might seem, you know, kind of scary or overtly challenging. When you have something like that on your resume and you know back in your mind, like, I can do this. Well, I can probably do this thing that most people might be a little bit worried to try. I think, do you find that happens for you?
Yeah, and also it's also about just like building up little goals along the way, whether that's like working yourself up from 5 cent, 10 cent PLO to mid stakes to high stakes or whatever, or from like starting off on the bunny hill and then like venturing out of bounds like a little bit at the ski resort and then taking a couple courses. It's like if I'm snowboarding and I'm like legitimately scared, that's not good, you know?
Right.
Like to be conscious of what's going on and like in tune and like aware for sure, but like I'm not putting myself in situations where I'm like scared, where it's like, oh shit, like, you know, I better keep it together here. I'm gonna like go off the edge of a cliff, you know.
Mateo says, have you ever been caught in an avalanche or near one? And then Spam says, is avalanche a sexual innuendo, similar to playing chess or going to Ireland? Yeah, have you ever been caught?
I've never been caught in one. Yeah, I'm certainly always prepared. Like I've taken like avalanche safety training courses always when I'm out of bounds at snowboarding. Have beacon, shovel, and probe, which are kind of your go-to avalanche tools. And I've seen them for sure, but yeah, fortunately, you know, through good decision-making and for sure good luck, I have not been caught anywhere near one of myself. Which, yeah, knock on wood.
I haven't been caught in an avalanche. Okay. I understand. Yeah, when I go to the mountains, I sometimes engage in some avalanches. I guess I'm caught in an avalanche in my room. You know, there's an avalanche, and yeah, okay. I got to think about that one. I like chess more, but
chess pieces flying everywhere.
You a big chess player? You probably are a chess player back in the day, or what? Not as much chess anymore.
Yeah, still quite a bit of chess.
Still play a little bit of chess.
Still enjoy it.
You playing chess with little boys like Pratush enjoys doing? You know?
Yeah, he clearly hadn't tuned into some of your earlier podcasts, but I really liked his. It's cool how much of a work ethic he has just in everything, and how like insanely talented that guy is. It was almost like a little depressing being like, oh man, you're using this for poker? Like this guy should be out there curing cancer. But I mean, obviously whatever's making him happy. He's just such a ridiculously impressive guy. You know?
That's what I kind of said when I was talking. I was like, I feel like poker, man. Like, I feel like he could be doing like something, you know. And that's the thing about like, some people like play poker for different reasons. Like he didn't seem like he was motivated to do anything. Nothing really like gave him that passion and that like fire to want to do it. But I feel like he could do anything he wanted to do, which is, you know, when you think
the competition was huge. He just wanted to be the best, you know. And poker's got a relatively clear way of proving that, you know, getting to the top and staying there.
Yeah, definitely talking to people like him. It's interesting. You learn more about yourself. You learn about how other people out there think, and sometimes it's kind of good because you can have people on and you can kind of aspire to want to be like them, and you can like maybe find some inspiration in them. And someone like Pratush, I think people probably watching might not have been able to necessarily like relate to him or connect with him because he's like, you know, he's like a rare breed, I feel like, of talent and with the work ethic as well. So it's kind of like someone
read the dictionary for 6 months until he became the world's best speller. That's just insane.
Yeah, his mom had him grind the dictionary 12 hours a day when he's 12 years old. Like that's.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, it didn't even seem like she was really making him from the way he said it. Like he just like wanted to be the best speller and like went out and did it. You know, that's a just really unreal drive.
Yeah, it really is. And can you imagine doing that at 12? It's like you kind of, like you must be extremely confident in anything you do at that point. You're like, that was 12. I read a dictionary 12 hours a day. Like, I'm pretty sure I can do anything at this point in time.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you could recommend 2 guests I could have on next, who would you recommend I have on?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
That I haven't had on already, or someone I potentially should have back on that I haven't had back on yet.
Okay, let me think of PLO guys. Well, Jedi Master clearly is an interesting guy. You know, interesting sense of humor. I don't know much about him, but he would be fun to see on.
Okay, Palmer asked who we're talking about. We're talking about Pratush Badiga. He's a tournament player. I had him on a podcast a couple weeks ago. He's a former Spelling Bee champion, and he's a pretty cool guy. Check it out if you haven't seen that one. It's a great podcast.
I'd kind of like to see No Dice Baby.
He won't come on.
He won't come on. I don't know anything about the guy. I don't even know his name, but like me and him have battled a shitload, and just from the way he plays poker, I gotta imagine he's a pretty interesting guy. I don't know.
I think he's very. I think he's like shy guy. He's not someone that wants to like put himself out there that much. And I think he's friends with Doorbread, I believe. And I think I can't remember who asked him. Someone asked him, and he's like he wanted to keep kind of.
Any of those Malta guys, I bet, have some good stories. You know, Ravenswood, Kobus, like those guys.
The only way I'll be able to get Ravens or Kobus on is if I'm in Malta and we're drunk and I happen to have a video camera on me. I'm like, hey, let's record this podcast at the strip club, and they're like, okay, let's do it. That's the only way they're gonna come on. I feel like if they're sober, they're kind of, you know, it's interesting. It's some people you talk to and you're like, hey, you want to come on a podcast, and they're like a little bit worried because they're like, well, I'm not that entertaining or I'm not that interesting to people. And I think that's something. That's kind of the vibe I got. I don't know if it's right. But I got from talking with Ravens in Vegas. Is that he was like, I don't think I'm like that interesting. Like some of the guests you have on are like really, they're like fucking fascinating people. But me, I don't think people want to hear more. I'm like, you could say nothing and people would be interested just because like, you know, guys in poker.
Because you could knock off 2 birds with 1 stone when you're out in Malta. Get Hollywood on.
Oh, does Hollywood live there?
Yeah.
Oh. An in-person podcast with Hollywood. I feel like if he watches any of these, he's just going to want to troll me nonstop because I put the glasses on and did Hollywood Haxton impressions here. So
I like battling those Malta guys too because they all just play so insanely fast. Played Kobus quite a bit and Raven some.
And the Ari Boo account, which yeah.
Yes.
You played it with the new Ariabu account lately?
Yeah, played him like a couple days ago. We played like little 50, 100, little 100, 200 heads up, feel up.
Any speculation on who Ariabu might be on your end? Do you know who he is?
Nope.
Do you care who he is? It doesn't matter?
I mean, it's like it feels like the same guy. I've played on that and some other accounts a bunch over the past few years, and I'm pretty happy for the action.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. The guy's been like crushing, right? So maybe I shouldn't be.
Yeah. Is this something you worry about when you're playing 25-50 or 100-200? Are you worrying about, is this the same person playing on this name today? Is it something that you go into a session like, maybe not actively on your mind, but something you're aware of that this is something that might be happening and I should just be thinking about it? I shouldn't assume anything today. I should have some ideas in mind for a certain player, but until, you know what I mean? Like, is that something that you think about?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, maybe I'm a little too naive about like existing accounts. Like if I get action from established regular X, maybe I am too naive in thinking that it's not regular Y, you know? But certainly with new accounts, I'm also kind of paranoid in ring games in general. Mm-hmm. You know, I prefer just to play heads up. Just it seems like a more fun, fair way to play poker in general. I don't know. Because I feel like when you play 5K Zoom or something, there's so many accounts where it's like just like random accounts or who knows what's going on.
So do you play? Will you play any account? Will you play any account heads up then if somebody sits you?
Oh no, for sure, definitely not. Like Ben 86.
Well, I'd say a random person, not someone that's like one of the top tier heads up guys.
Yeah, I mean, I give everybody a fair shot for sure, and then like I think pretty quickly I can see what that person's doing. That I think is good or bad. And also in general, poker in the past 3 years has gone a lot. It's gone from more like the offensive approach, which I think was definitely the stronger approach, like playing a very exploitative game, worked really well. From 10 years ago up until like, the GTO bots and WCG's machine came out. And in the past 3 years, everybody's been focused on much more of a defensive, balanced approach that works well against any style, and worrying much less about what your opponent's doing. And that's certainly something that I've been, trying to do. So not that like I don't care what the other person's doing, but I'm certainly spending more time working on my game rather than like trying to exploit some specific hole in my opponent's game.
That was a very, very smart thing you just said right there.
I don't know. I feel like there's always like kind of that balance between like whether offense or defense has the edge, whether that's like in economics or poker or basketball or something like that. I really like that ebb and flow. And like, who knows, maybe like in 2 years, some Finnish kid is going to come up with some like amazingly exploitative strategy that like pokes all the holes in what all the top guys are doing now. So
maybe that's what Vroom's doing right now. The WRUUUM, the Finnish crusher who.
Yeah, looks like he's just murdering everybody.
Yeah, he's been crushing pretty well. Professional says, "Yo, Joey, what's up, Poppy?" Or I said that to you. What's up, Poppy? Can he get a bit more in depth about random accounts? Like, is it supposedly random businessmen? By random accounts, you just mean basically
There's some name you've never heard of that starts playing 5K PLO pretty well. It's like, I mean, there's not many people who just like sign up on PokerStars for the first time ever and like are like good players with 100K in their account that wants to play 4 tables of 5K PLO. I don't know. Who knows?
If someone like sits down and you never see the name before and they say, "Hey, do you want to like 4 table?"
That's like suspicious for sure, but yeah, I mean, you never really know until you play.
Yeah, I think that was one of the things. Yeah, when I was playing a lot of 20, 50, 50, 100, this was like my biggest. Talk about regrets earlier. It's kind of a thing I wish I was more aware of. Was that I played like when I was starting tables, I just played anyone. I played any 6-max lineup. I didn't think about anything. This was a Barcode was playing a lot. Barcode might be a friend of yours, not a friend of mine, but.
No, not particularly a friend of mine either.
Okay, not a friend of mine. But this was something I wasn't aware of until I had a conversation maybe 7 or 8 months after I was back in the States. I was talking with Insider 19. Shout out to my boy Insider. And he was telling me about these like poker houses, how there's these different people living in a house together playing. Sometimes they might share accounts. Some people will play you on another name to get action or something like that. And when he said this to me, I was like, really? I had no idea. It seems like, dumb. Like, what shouldn't you assume this is going on at the highest stakes when all this money's in play? This is something I never thought about. I was like 2 or 3 people, like, because you play with these guys so often, and you have random people that show up. You just take it for granted it's the same person. It's something I wasn't actively thinking about. And ever since he told me that, I've always been like, wow, that's like, I just never aware of this. Like, there could have been 2 people potentially colluding. There could have been a guy I played a lot, and now it's 3-handed match, and then someone else is playing on the account. And like, so if you're playing these guys in active real time, and you think they're doing something that they're, not doing in certain situations, their tendencies are just reversed. It's a pretty big advantage, and it's something that I try to be more actively aware of these days.
Yeah, for sure. And it always pays to err on the side of caution with something like that. Like, you don't need to go hopping on 2+2, throwing, accusations you can't back up at a bunch of people, but like, you also don't need to go just like randomly playing every 3-handed game with 2 accounts you've never seen before.
Well, it's even sometimes accounts you've seen before. You might have a general idea of who they might be, but Rem said like in 2 months, 2 million.
Totally, yeah, and
in some instances that was kind of what they were doing in a way. Like there's a couple guys around a computer, and I wouldn't say they're actively like clicking the buttons, but they're obviously discussing they're discussing things live in real time. So, and that's something that I think I wasn't aware of at the time. And how I would have changed my approach or style, maybe I would have been more conservative in the games I played, but. Who's to say it really would have made that big of a difference? But I think it's something that people out there should think about more if they're not thinking about it.
Definitely, yeah.
So, Mark Kennedy, Playing with Dreams on Twitter says, another great podcast with Joe. Thanks, Mark. He says, with a longtime poker hero of mine, Cole Stubb. How does it feel that people
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate the support, man.
Like, how does it feel when people say you're their poker hero, their inspiration, they're their favorite player, like that you taught them how to get good at poker back in the day?
Man, I couldn't be happier to have a positive effect on somebody else's life. At the same time, it's a little surreal for sure. Like, I was playing at Bellagio a couple years ago, and this woman is dragging her boyfriend over to me, and it's like, you know, like, my boyfriend won't admit this, but like, he is a huge fan of yours. Like, can he have your autograph? And I'm just like, the fuck is going on? Like, somebody wants my autograph? And I'm just like so out of it, like, about what could possibly happen. So she's like, hands me a piece of paper and a pen, and like, I literally had no clue what to do and printed my name. Just
wow.
Wrote. So if you're out there, man, shoot me a message, because that was really poor performance. But yeah, man, if anybody thinks that I've had a positive effect on them, yeah, I'm so happy for that.
It's pretty funny. You sign your name in lowercase.
I literally just printed my name. It was really bad.
Is that something over time people ask to take a lot of pictures of you and stuff like that when you're at? Have you ever been recognized like outside of a casino poker setting?
Occasionally, but pretty rare.
Pretty rare. Was it maybe back before when you used to have you were infamous for putting that picture? What was the BBB thread you made with the Bentley?
Yeah.
You were like the first. Yeah, I remember that, because I was living in Chicago, and like my rent was $250. My bedroom was the size of my bathroom now. And I saw this BBB thread of Cole South having a Bentley, and I was like, God, dude, that would be. I was like, is that even real? Like, is this like a real thing? Like, people actually like really make money and buy these like nice cars from poker? Like, I don't think this is possible. But that thread was like a pretty big inspiration for me at the time, because I was like, that'd be fucking. Like, I want to create a thread. I want to buy a car and make the BBB thread about me buying a car from poker like Cole South. That would be That would be totally epic.
Yeah, that thing was a disaster, man. I think. Just in general, like, my kind of value for like material shit like that has gone down so much. Like, my flashiness of cars, I had the Bentley, then an Escalade. Now I drive a pickup truck and like love it way more than like anything flashy. Yeah.
Do you think that is just a function of you maybe getting married and feeling like more confident in yourself, feeling like you don't maybe need to impress people as much as you might have at one point in time thought you might have needed to?
Yeah, and like, I don't really want that type of attention either,
Mm-hmm.
Like the rich dude with a nice car, like, it's not me.
But at the time when you got it, what was your like mind?
19 years old, an idiot who had just walked into $1 million playing on my computer, man. I did plenty of dumb shit.
Was that your spurious purchase? Was the Bentley?
Yeah, probably.
What could possibly be close? Wait, what's close? What, you like hesitated there?
Well, I'm just thinking like I bought a condo too. That was like very expensive, but I kind of ran hot on that and made some money with that. Yeah, as far as like material stuff that big, that's probably it.
You probably ran good on the Bentley and sold that for more money than you.
Oh God, no! Just got torched on it.
Did you buy a brand new Bentley?
Constantly had problems. Yeah, no desire whatsoever to like own an expensive foreign sports car.
Did you buy it brand new?
No, it was used, but like
you still lost that money.
1,000 miles on it or something, just barely.
David Cooper says, "What up, Joey? What up, Poppy?" Slay Show says, "Joey or Cole, what's the most expensive thing you bought with your bankroll?" Well, I guess that's the most expensive thing you bought is a Bentley.
I mean, I guess that house would be more expensive, but that one seemed like a little more responsible and financially turned out all right.
Okay, let's look at something that's not a big purchase like a car or a house. What's the biggest thing besides that you may have purchased? I guess it could be like.
I prefer to spend my money on nice vacations and stuff, like going to Antarctica for a ski trip, or my wife and I have been to 6 continents together on all sorts of fun traveling. So I'd way rather go to Argentina and go to wine country and go skiing than and do it in a ballin' way and drop 20K than go get some 20K watch, you know.
But you probably own a 20K watch, don't you?
I've got one spewy watch purchased, yeah. But I don't wear it. I wear like a nice $500 watch, typically.
How old were you when you bought this watch?
Right after I bought the Bentley, probably.
Right.
A couple weeks later.
I think it's like a poker like rite of passage to always buy like one expensive watch when you finally start doing well at poker. You have to like
that's back then, man. I like to think people are a bit smarter now, but
no, I think it's still you have to. I think it's just like you have to do it. Like you always see like you go play any live poker, you see guys with like the ball and watches, and people on 2+2 used to be more open about it. And then that was what I always saw. I'm like, I'm buying a 5K watch. I'm getting 10K watch. That's what I'm getting when I start making money from poker. I think I had 40K. I was like 5K watch. I'm getting it, and then I bought one because you have to. That's when you start to know that you're starting to potentially make it in poker when you get that expensive watch.
You know, I've got like a 1K watch that I wear a fair amount too, and that was the first thing I ever bought from poker. I made like 3K, and it's like you made 3K, you haven't paid any taxes. Obviously, what do? Get a 1K Omega Seamaster. So, I like that one because it kind of reminds me, you know, where I started with poker.
It's not a bad thing. That kind of gives you that, like, you look at it and you're like, oh, this is the first thing I bought from poker. And
yeah, and it's not incredibly spewy. Like a 1K watch is, you know, that's a lot of money to spend on a watch, but
that's true.
$1,000 in worse ways.
Yeah. Cole, what's Cole's 2+2 name? They ask your 2+2 name simple CTS, right?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, people were talking about ghosting, and we were talking about like different people playing essentially on other names in tournaments. He said, this guy, Masterclass said, when I was backed in MTTs, I had a coach wanting to ghost me every time I did go deep in a major.
Yeah, I don't know. In tournaments in particular, that seems like something that's going to go on a ton where, you know, you've got this both different strategies between start game and end game. So maybe you have like one guy who's a specialist in one, and just the fact that like you have to play so many start games until you get to that end game, to where I bet that goes on a lot. But I don't know shit about the tournament scene. It's not something that
you play any live tournaments. Was there a point in your time when you had the desire to win that bracelet or become this like glorious tournament player who was like on ESPN and
totally?
You know,
everybody has that. I mean, like winning a bracelet would be phenomenal. And I've, you know, probably played 15 World Series events, and that was enough for me to realize, not for me. You know, man, if you think that like your average World Series event, even if you're playing small ones, maybe you play like ones with 300 people in the field, and say you're twice as good as everybody else, you're gonna have to play 150 of them so you get a bracelet. Oh, fuck that.
Yeah.
I can't sit through 150 of those. It's just not something I'm particularly good at or have the mental fortitude for.
I mean, I feel like you could get the mental fortitude for it. You just would rather get it for go snowboarding in a sick mountain in Russia or something like that, rather than play a tournament in World Series.
I don't know. I mean, also, I think I've really learned from the live tournaments I have played that the guys who do it and do well at it like have a really unique skill set. Whether you're talking about someone like Timex, whose fundamentals are really good, or someone like Phil Ivey, who I think Timex was talking about him, who like maybe his fundamentals in the middle of the pack, but he's picking up on so much stuff other people aren't. And like, I don't have an insane amount of live tournament experience, so my fundamentals and my live games probably just like so. It's not really something where it would take a lot of work for me to get good at, and that doesn't make financial sense or like life sense,
Yeah, we're gonna stay on for. You got about like 15, 20 minutes. I don't want to have it run too long. I like having people, because like we don't get to hear a lot from CTS. I know a lot of people out there. They've probably been. I even got to hear from you in like the past. I don't even like know when the last time. When's the last time you did anything like this, like an interview or a conversation or like anything?
It's been a long time for sure. It's kind of been nice to be a little bit more under the radar and just kind of focus on my poker game as much as I can, to where it's not about the other stuff. It's not about promotion. It's not about a deal with full tilt or staking people or trying to sell pieces. Just like I play poker, do my own thing, and really work on that. But I've really enjoyed your podcast and enjoyed hearing about other people that I play against and maybe people that I don't play against. And yeah, so it was cool to have the opportunity to hop on.
All right, well, I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick because I don't want to use the pee bottle. You don't use pee. You don't seem like a pee bottle kind of guy, do you?
I'm gonna go too real quick.
Okay, well, this is what we're gonna do, guys. I'm gonna put that Jedi Master video on we mentioned earlier, and I'm gonna play this video. We mentioned earlier there's a video Jedi Master had where he played a hand with odd odds, and so I'm gonna put the video on. Me and Cole are gonna take a bathroom break because we don't want to use pee bottles in here. Where's the link? Someone give me the link for the video, guys. A little bonus footage for you while we're doing this. Where's the video? I think Zach put it. So guys, you might be able to learn something from this too, which is kind of like a dual thing.
Fingers.
All right, let's put it on. Austin. All right, here we go. Let's make this bigger. Let's turn the volume up.
So today I'm going to be reviewing a hand I played versus Akimajin and Jedi Master. It was pretty interesting hands where I played pretty good. And so let's just jump into the action here. Akimajin opens from the cutoff and Jedi calls from the button. And so I have a pretty good hand. It's like my open call equity is pretty good, so it's a slightly less CV call. And so flop is 9-8-4 with 2 spades, and I think it's a pretty good spot to lead for $404.78. That's
oh, whoops! I turned the hand off. All right, I'm back from the bathroom. I didn't realize the video is 4 minutes long. I'll put the link in the description if you want to watch the rest of it. Jedi Master. Let's put it in here. Oh, I can't put links in there? Oh, I'll put the link in the description. All right, CTS, I'm back. You're back too.
Somebody asking you what the chances of getting Tom Dwan on the podcast?
You think Tom Dwan listens to the podcast? No.
It'd be interesting for sure. I bet he's got a lot of good stories.
Yeah, I wonder. I feel like he'd be like similar to Jungleman telling some of the stories. He's like, well, I probably shouldn't talk about this, but like, yeah, I was in Macau one time, and someone said I look like a mixture of Kelso which is Ashton Kutcher, I believe, and Tom Dwan.
I can see that.
I was like, oh, okay. Like some people like, you look like Tom Dwan. I'm like, yeah, I guess I kind of look like he's got that like. I mean, like, yeah, like, you know, he kind of has that like little face to him, so I could see the.
I think he's a bit more guarded than Jungle, where he might say that he can't tell the story, and then he actually doesn't tell it, whereas Jungle just rattles off a bunch of shit that he just said, well, there's no way I'm supposed to share any of this.
Somebody in my podcast thread on 2+2 and NVG, which was recently voted 5 stars, shout out to everyone in NVG. There was a comment that someone said about the Jungleman podcast, which I wanted to talk about just briefly, and he said, and actually some people came in and said, it wasn't true. He said it seemed like Joey was less conversational, fun, and natural now, and more concerned with getting information, controversial or otherwise, from Jungleman. Jungleman being the idiot savant he is, fell it for it hook, line, and sinker. I actually understand what people mean now when they say Jungle is being Jungle. So that was I thought that was a comment. That's a comment that someone made that I posted. Obviously, like I made a response to that because that's actually the opposite of what I try to do with my guests, is that I want to lead people away from, I mean, obviously I want to talk about things like, you know, you and me, we talked about Days of the Lord thing, and we talked about a couple things. For the most part, I'm not trying to like have people come on who I'm somewhat friendly with and then have them say something that's going to get them in trouble or make them look bad, which is like, I have the exact opposite goal. I want people to come on and look good and make a good impression on people. So, and some people came in the thread and said, that's definitely wasn't what I was doing with Jungleman or with them, because I had to cut Jungleman off a couple times because I felt like he was going down a path where he might say something that You probably shouldn't say.
He knows what he's doing. It's like, I think he did a good job kind of just leading the interview in directions that he wanted to talk about. It was a really interesting interview. I thought Jungle came off quite well.
That's,
I don't know, don't you?
I definitely agreed. But when the guy said that, I was not being as fun, and I was trying to like pry him for comments. I was like, if I wanted to do that, I would do a great job at that. You wouldn't know I was doing that. Like if I'm trying to get somebody to say something that's gonna create this like hot topic or cause a discussion, like I would be much more low key and subtle about it. It wouldn't be like me poking the guy repeatedly to like get this information out of him. So it's what they say, that dude's voice is the opposite of GTO. They're referring to Jungleman? I guess so. Are you gonna play any WSOP events this summer? But yeah, Cole, what's your 2015?
I didn't play any last summer, and it was amazing to not play any. I really just don't enjoy it that much. It makes no financial sense. Like, if I can play online, especially if a lot of the top online guys are in Vegas playing tournaments, you know, it makes more sense for me to be out of the country and playing online. Yeah, I don't see it happening. I kind of like buying pieces for sweats, and that just seems like more fun anyways. Because then you're rooting for people to, you know, do well, but you don't actually play yourself. I don't know. I've also ran super hot with that, so.
I can tell. I say I don't like buying pieces because it seems like I haven't ran. I guess it's like, well, it's kind of like when people play poker for the first time and they win money. They always remember the time they ran hot and ran well, and they want to do it more. And then that's kind of what you're doing. You've won a lot, so you're just kind of being a little bit results oriented in a way, and you buy more action on people.
Maybe, yeah. I like to think that I'm a little more selective about it these days, and just like try to buy kind of the prime pieces of action. Like I brought like 7 or 8 guys from one drop last year, I think, but I only paid up markup for one.
Yeah. What's your opinion on markup? Do you think markup in these tournaments is? I guess you're not really actively involved in tournaments, so you might not like have this like much of a in-tuned idea as some of the tournament pros would have. But markup to me, like I guess we had this discussion with Timex recently too. Markup seems like it's pretty crazy for some of these people. Do you buy at markup when you buy pieces? Like, what's your approach on that situation?
You know, first off, I'm insanely biased because I'm never selling action for tournaments, or almost never, just because I don't play them. So I'm always the guy buying it. So of course I don't want to pay markup, right? I do get if some guy's like playing a 10K and he has to fly to LA, say to play a 10K at the LAPC and get a hotel room, and he's got 30% of himself and he's selling 70, for him to pay 30% of his expenses and his backers to pay 70 like as part of the markup, that intuitively kind of makes sense to me. I think it's a little different from World Series. If like a lot of these guys are going to be there the entire summer anyways, and particularly for the one drop, where it's like the rate's insane, right? One drop was 11%.
It's big.
That's super hard to overcome. To where, yeah, the one guy I paid markup from for, like, I don't know, I just kind of wanted a piece of that guy. So
yeah, markup. I think I'm gonna play some events this year, and by some events I mean one event. Obviously, the PLO event, of course, the 6max.
Don't they have like a 3K and a 25K?
No, there's the 3K 6max PLO. It used to be a 5K. I think now it's a 3K. And that's the only 6max PLO event. There's the 25K 8-handed PLO. It's like 3 or 4 days or something like that.
Like that, yeah.
Definitely not playing that. I'm like gonna kill myself during that time period. So, you gonna play that? You have any intention to go out to Vegas this year?
Nah. I mean, I'm not saying it couldn't happen. If it does, I probably won't play any poker. But
same.
You know, I've spent like 7 summers out in Vegas now. I'm not really itching to make it an 8th.
Would you have what's your most I guess what's the word? What's your best Vegas story? Your most entertaining Vegas story? Your the best story you can tell on a podcast that you'd feel comfortable telling, that people would enjoy hearing the most, into what it's like to be in Vegas and have an experience out there.
All right, I got a poker one, I guess. I was playing a ton with Sammy Farha 3 summers ago, I think. And we were just battling a ton in like Bobby's room kind of every day all summer. And so we start a game at about 3 in the afternoon, some sort of mixed game. And at like 6 o'clock, everybody else fills in, and it's a full game. We play all night, and about like 4 a.m., everybody starts leaving, but Sammy doesn't want to leave, and he really likes playing me heads up. So we continue to play heads up until like 5 o'clock the next day. And yeah, my wife's like bringing me like a fresh T-shirt and like food and stuff. Super degen. But I've been like, I was up huge, and like didn't, you know, my hourly was pretty insane. And so Sammy Farha, every time he loses a pot, switches seats at the table, because that previous seat obviously was bad luck.
Right, of course it is.
And so another player comes to sit down at like 5 o'clock the next day to like get it going into a ring game again, and sits down and looks down at the table, and there's a pile of chest hair, of like little hairs on the table. It's like, dude, what the hell is this? And then realizes it's Sammy Farha's been switching seat to seat. And there's like these little piles of chest hair in front of like the 2 seat and the 6 seat. That was one of the funnier poker stories for me, at least. But
how did the session end up here with Sammy Farha, where the chest hair?
We played all night that night and didn't quit till the next morning. It was like the longest I've ever been awake, I think.
What was the receipt on this session?
Good. It was a good summer. Live mixed games were insane that summer. Bunch of people with a bunch of money in action. It went well.
What happens? What happens if you win this? Is there like a box you put the money in? Like, do you carry the money to your hotel room? Are you like guarded by security? Like,
just have a Bellagio account. You wire them some money at the start of the summer. You play with it, put it back in your account after every session, and then they wire it back to you at the end of the summer.
No, sounds pretty simple.
Yeah, easy.
Sounds pretty simple. Vicious Invictus on Twitter said, ask CTS what he thinks of Bitcoin together with poker.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I mean, I've played some on Seals with Clubs, which is really unfortunate that they've been down for like a week now.
Yeah, they've been something
pretty unacceptable for poker site. But in general, the idea of having super quick cash in and cash outs, the site's not paying nearly as high with processing fees. I mean, it makes a ton of sense. It sucks that there's been such massive fluctuations with Bitcoin, and I don't claim to have a particularly educated view on like where the price is going or whatever, but having used it for like, you know, transferring money to and from friends and playing a little poker with, it's really damn useful. It's super fast and convenient.
Well, I'll tell people that that's been one of the sites I've played on a lot, and I don't know what's happening right now, and I'm slightly concerned.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I'm like kind of worried, but that would be some people always ask what sites I play on. That's one I enjoy that site.
Yeah, they've got like a cash out form, I think, up on their site, and are paying people out who like request it, and it does seem just to be like a hardware issue on their end or whatever, but you know, who knows? It's not a good sign.
I know, it's one of my favorite sites, and I've never talked about the site, but now I'm getting worried. So I don't like. So people always ask me like, what sites do you play on? Because you live in the USA. It's like, well, I'm not gonna probably tell you the site I play on the most all the time. Like, I'm gonna divert you from the site I play on the most all the time, because obviously I enjoy that site, and I'm probably making money on the site. Like, that's what always gets me is like, why the fuck would I tell? Like, if there's a site I'm playing on that's the best for PLO, I'm never gonna tell anybody this. Why would you tell people that thousands of people watch a live stream? I'm gonna tell you the best place to play PLO. Now I might have given it away. Now they're going to go back and realize the sites I'm talking about the most I might actually play on. But you know, who really knows where? Who knows? It's like it's stretch.
Gems out there for sure.
There are some like these low key sites that you might not know exist as American people, but if you travel and you meet people that mention XXX site that might be only specific to a couple countries, there's ways to get on those sites. So. And as an American, that's what they force you to do, unfortunately, because America.
Well, now you got me curious. I don't think I've heard of those.
Heard about what?
or like several country-specific sites? I don't know.
Well, there are some sites that you can only play on in one country,
Okay.
and some of these sites, well, I froze there, but they might be good sites.
Hmm.
So it might not be the most like. There's always a risk on these sites. Obviously, there's always a risk. I'll put it like that. The goal win, the on-game thing before. There's always a risk that some of these sites just take the money, but that's why you don't keep a lot on there. Ask Cole what he thinks about Mr. King Pilo, David Benjamin. What is David Benjamin doing now?
No clue. I'm curious. If you find out, let me know. Yeah, he was playing a lot of big live poker that summer. You know, when I was playing a bunch 3 or 4 years ago. Haven't seen or really heard anything from him since. I don't know.
Poor guy. I remember I played some the high stakes Pilo at Bellagio, and he sat down next to me. I was like in shock. I was like, I haven't heard of this guy in like 4 years or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what he's doing. I doubt he's playing online. If he's playing poker, it's probably live games. He always seemed pretty well connected, so maybe he's like playing big live poker in Europe. Who knows?
How would you feel if another poker player married your wife if you divorced her?
That'd be a little weird.
Like I don't know how that. So David Benjamin was like married to this woman, and then they divorced, and she started married another poker player right away.
Yeah, I don't know.
I gotta be honest. If anyone out there, if I ever get a girl get married and another poker player starts dating her, like we're gonna get into a fight, and one of us is getting hurt. It might be me, it might be you. We're getting into a fight. Like I don't care. If it's someone I know, we're getting into a fight for sure. And if it's like I don't even if I take the bad end of it, I don't even care. Like you're not gonna marry my wife. You're not gonna. If you start dating my wife, that's fucked up.
Yeah. And for Eric Lindgren, certainly sounds like he's had his fair share of issues as well.
Bank error in your favor. Collect $2.5 million.
I love that graphic. That thing is so funny.
Yeah, seriously, Sirius made that. And if anyone hasn't seen it, there was something about Eric Lindgren. He got an accidental $2 million in his full tilt account, and then spent it. And then I don't know.
Figured nothing would ever come of it. That's I think how Full Tilt was doing accounting for the past 6 or 7 years. So who knew it would amount to anything?
Yeah, that's true. Someone said it just came live. You can always watch this back on replay, guys. And for the people that are watching this back on replay now, for 100% only the hardcore people are still listening right now. So shout out to the hardcore people that made it this far into the replay. If you're out there listening to this on replay and you made it this far, please message me and tell me I was watching 2 hours and 36 minutes into this, and I'm still watching it. I've still watched it straight. And give me a shout out. Please let me know. I got to show you some love. So we'll take a couple more questions from the people in the chat, and then we're going to wrap it up. I'm going to eat. CTS is going to go do some CTS type things, maybe fix his snowboard or potentially debate going to a mountain in a very foreign country. So we'll take a couple more questions from the chat. This is a little bit of a delay. Spam Robin says, who cares if your wife's new man shares your profession? It's only a problem if you're friends.
Yeah, but in poker you're constantly running into and winning and losing money against people in your profession.
You mentioned if Odd Odson was married to my wife. You know what? What I should do is I should try to. No, I don't want to do that. That sounds like bad karma. I was gonna say take. Never mind. Whatever. Okay. People watching. I know you guys are watching live because I see there's 250 people, which I think YouTube's wrong because I feel like there's people that if they're like not if it doesn't count all the people that watch it live because you can stream on Twitch the same thing and has like 500 views on YouTube and YouTube it only has 250. So I feel like it doesn't recognize. There's something that it does. It doesn't recognize all the people. So I know there's a lot of people watching this live, but this is for the people on the replay. We got to show some love to the people that watch us on replay.
Well, thanks for watching, everybody, whether it's live or on replay. Really appreciate it.
I like you, Cole, man. You're you show a lot of love, man. That's good.
Hey. Somebody asked if I started with $50. Yes, I did. I was sophomore in college. Put $50 on Party Poker a couple times. Would always run it up to like 600, which I think was the min buy for 30-60 limit hold'em. So obviously I have to take it there, right? And I think I blew through like 2 or 3 $50 deposits, and a super broke college student. So that was like beer money for a few weekends. That was seriously hurt. So then finally I was like, all right, I got these 2+2 books from the library. I'm going to put $200 on there and be ultra strict with bankroll management and work it up. And worked it up from there.
Easy game, huh?
At that time.
Yeah. They said, this is something I thought was true. They said that YouTube doesn't count if you're only logged in, which I'm 100% that's true, because there's a lot of these Twitch people that give me this hate. They're like, oh, you get more views on Twitch, you should stream on Twitch. Somebody that might work for Twitch too. But I got a lot of love for him, Rumcakes. Shout out to Rumcakes. You work for Twitch, that's fine. But he always gets on me about the number of views I have on Twitch compared to YouTube. And I try to tell him, I'm like, it's not that bad on YouTube, I promise, because they only count counts that are logged in. So I've been watching the show since I got out of class over 2.5 hours ago. Feels like it's 20 minutes. Always interesting, Joey. Much love, Decos. Thanks a lot. Slay Show, Joey or Cole, what do you think? When do you think the states will be allowed to play against stars and whatnot? Also, what do you think the impact will be on the poker economy? Might have not pronounced that name for.
Yeah, that stuff's been, I feel like, such a fake out over the past 5 or 6 years, with the legalization of online poker. And so much is going on with it that I honestly haven't been following it all that closely and will just kind of take it as it comes.
Yeah.
But that's certainly not something I would bank on. Who knows? I saw, recently Caesars and PokerStars teamed up.
Right.
I think that's probably a big thing because it seems like a big reason why all of these bullshit laws are in place in the first place is that these casino lobbyists put them there, effectively. I mean, Harry Reid seems like a super corrupt politician from everything I've read, but yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't bank on it, but it would be some icing on the cake to be able to play, regulated U.S. poker in the U.S. market, or even more so, to be able to play on PokerStars in the U.S.
I think the people that have been grinding PLO consistently online for the past couple years, while the USA market has been not open, are going to have a very huge advantage over the people if, assuming this was to come back and online poker would become a prevalent thing in America. I think the people that have been grinding hard, working hard at their game these past bunch of years are going to be very rewarded for doing that if that was to happen at some point in time. And that's what I'm hoping for. That's why I still work hard at PLOs, because even if you might not be making money right now as a poker player out there, the potential, if something was to happen, is going to be huge. So it's almost like you stay on just in case. And it might not ever be, you might not ever reap the full rewards of the hard work you put in, but at some point in time you could reap those rewards. And
yeah, I kind of view that as putting a lot of small feelers out there and putting yourself in places to get lucky. And maybe online poker never becomes a big thing in the U.S. again. But if it does, you sure as hell want to make sure you're positioned to capitalize on it, And with poker, if you're not getting better, the field is for sure. I mean, if you take a look at the top players' games from just 18 months ago, particularly in something like Heads Up PLO, it would be wildly different compared to the top guys today.
definitely.
The games, at least.
Yeah, obviously I think we're in the that PLO training site era too, where all these PLO videos are being made, and I feel like it's slowed down a bit. And obviously Phil's still putting out content.
Sure.
And I think Phil's content is still. I like learning something from. I don't want to give a fucking goddamn. I better get some sort of cut. You better give me some goddamn percentage, man. I'm not talking anymore about that. But as far as other people, it seems like they've kind of realized oh, that was probably a dumb idea. I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
They don't make videos anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So that's Antbake says poker groupies are probably on a lower tier than minor league baseball player. Poker groupies, I gotta tell you guys. So Cole, you've been a married man. So have you had much experience with poker women groupies?
Just playing tournaments and seeing some poker groupies on the rail, but no, nothing.
I've been rethinking my strategy as far as podcasting goes, because I every day I check my messages on my social media on 2+2. I see my friend requests on Facebook. By the way, if you send me a friend request on Facebook, send me a message, tell me who the fuck you are, because I get these random people, I don't know who you are. You got to tell me your name from YouTube or something. Say you're a fan of the podcast. But what I've realized is that this poker is the worst industry if you're trying to meet chicks or meet girls in, because it's all dudes.
Yeah, you know, there's some nice aspect to that though, to where like you might not want the significant other you're seeing to be intimately involved in your work. Like I really like that work-life separation where like, you know, my wife knows how to play Chinese poker and we play Chinese poker together and she knows about like the life of a poker pro, but she doesn't say know the rules to PLO. And I think that's probably a good thing.
I would definitely prefer if I had a girlfriend who played PLO because I think that would be amazing. But I can see where you're coming from as well because I'm gonna send some shots if I say that. But yeah, I think it's I just wish there were more. I guess I might get married to somebody I'm with right now. You never know. 5% chance, 2% chance, 3% chance, 6% chance, whatever. There's more. There's a chance. I'm saying there's a chance, but yeah, poker is definitely not the industry you want to get into if you're looking to like do well at your job and then meet women as well.
Yeah, it seems fair.
I can tell you guys that. But if you want to meet a lot of dudes and have dudes love you, fuck man, this is the place. You got a lot of guys out there showing you a lot of love, man. If guys make you feel better about yourself, I get that all the time, so gotta say it feels pretty good. So, all right, we'll take one more question, then we're gonna go CTS, and we'll probably have you on. We'll try to get you back on. If you've ever noticed, I try getting people back on. I like having recurring people on because like it's cool. You get people like hearing from these guys. I think I've had a lot of interesting people on. Maybe I get the most out of some guests, which makes them more interesting than they might normally appear. So I like to have
the second time around too, like watching Lafort, after you've had some time to digest all the stuff he said the first time and think about it.
Mm-hmm. Lafort, we love Lafort, man. You love Lafort as equally as much?
Yeah. The only reason I don't love Lafort is because he's like really damn good at PLO, and we're constantly, over the past 2 years, have just been running into each other nonstop, and I pay the Lafort tax every 6 months and dump $50K to him, and and lets him be a little bit,
He goes and spends it on his many women in Toronto that he takes out from time to time. Sorry, Lafort.
I just talked about that on here. I haven't heard it.
I'm not supposed to talk about these things, Lafort, but I gotta give something to the hardcore people that stuck with us here for 2 hours and 46 minutes. I know we're not. This is one of the things that's on the red blacklist on the Lafort podcast. No women because he's got his women that watch, but there's no Lafort women that are watching the CTS podcast 2 hours and 46 minutes in. And if you are Lafort's woman who's watching this right now, that's fucking weird, and you need to stop talking to Lafort because you're watching his friend's podcast for 3 hours. So.
Those chicks are just trying to do Lafort GTO to make sure they can nail him down.
I'd be trying to lock him down too. If I was the girl in Toronto, I'd be trying to lock Lafort down too. But you ain't gonna lock him down. I'm sorry. He's like Lafort's a rare rose, man. He's a rare rose. Silverhorn says, I agree. The more you have them on, the more they open up. I guess that might be true to some extent. I think that might be true also as you get to know someone more, they typically will open up more. So.
Somebody suggested Zygmunt. He'd be a fun guest too, for sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he copied my Hex and avatar recreation idea, so he definitely is. He's out there somewhere. Zygmunt's out there. He's floating around. We might get him on a podcast. I feel like some of those guys that I don't know, I'm gonna have to like see them in person. And once I meet them in person, like they're gonna meet me and be like, I want to come on a podcast with him because he's pretty fun. So, what about the heads up battle? I might stream the battle today, guys. Donner Kim versus TC, but I probably won't because it's boring, to be honest. Any more questions? No more questions. CTS, any parting words you'd like to add?
No, man. Thanks for having me on, and everybody who tuned in. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate the support. And yeah, good luck at the tables, everybody.
Yeah, CTS at Cole South on Twitter. If you want to check in, see what he's up to, follow him there. Guys in the chat, not sure when I'll be back. I don't have any one particular person lined up. I'll be in LA for the Poker Awards February 27th. I'm going to go a couple days early. I'm going to hang out there for like a week or two. If you're in LA, hit me up. I'm interested to hang out with anyone and do anything except drugs. I'm retired, but I'll play basketball with anyone too. If you want to play basketball, I'll give you that work. Ian Orion says, great stream, Joey. I'm beginning to get all these podcasts and while grinding. That's what I like to hear. All right, Cole. Thanks for coming out. We'll catch up.
Hey, Joey. Thanks for having me on.
Much love, guys. Poppies, mommies, adios. Spam Robin, Rems, Luke, Caesar, nothing. I can't give any much shout outs. Send me a message on Twitter. I'll give you guys shout outs.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Peace out.